Audrey Decker says her ex-roommates Trista Gray and Mark Robertson owe for bills and a rental deposit. Audrey also claims the couple falsely accused her of smoking pot.
Ms. Decker, you and the defendants were roommates in an apartment or a house?
Correct. It was a two-bedroom apartment above the downtown plaza.
And you met each other at work?
Yes, we did.
Okay, that's all.
We're co-workers.
Sure. Signed the lease when?
On August 21st of last year. I have that with me if you'd like to see it.
Okay, and when did you move out?
It was January.
January what?
9th.
And you claim they moved out owing you money?
Yes, they did.
There's lots of other things that you're claiming, some of which is nonsense, but you claim that they owe you some money. One of the things that they owe you money for is that they had not paid their entire security deposit.
They had not paid the deposit
Just answer my question.
Yes, they had not
They
paid
had
the
not
deposit.
paid the entire security deposit. You paid it, they were supposed to pay you back, and there was some money outstanding.
Correct.
When they moved out on January 9th, 2008, in what condition was the apartment?
There were some burn marks in the carpet in the bedroom that they were in. There's nail holes, things that weren't there before.
Okay, do you have photographs of the burns on the carpet?
No, I do not.
Were there burns on the carpet?
There might have been. We did smoke in the bedroom, yes.
Okay. Because if there was no damage to the apartment, then of course I would say to the plaintiff, you're going to get the security deposit back, so they don't have to pay you any more security deposit. But if there was damage that you did to the apartment, then you have to pay your half of the security deposit, because in all probability the landlord is going to make her replace the carpet and charge her. Is that reasonable?
It is, but we don't believe we owe her anything because we have overpaid her on deposit.
Show me.
We don't have any proof of it, but we overpaid her over the deposit. We do believe we have.
Well, show me. What do you mean we believe?
We don't have
What
any-
did you poke him for? You want him to say something?
We don't have any proof because we did pay her. We believe we did.
How much did they pay you in the security?
They paid me $360. The arrangement was I
How
paid
much was the
$500.
security deposit? Let's do
The
this.
$300 was what I put down that day for the deposit
In total?
in total.
So they owed you $150?
No, the way it was we had our bills split three ways. Deb Schultz is a witness to that, that we agreed to split all bills, including electric, cable, deposit, rent, everything.
Three, that they owed you $600? I want to know how much they owed initially for the security deposit, Ms. Decker.
They owed $200 initially, but they did not have money at the time.
I understand
so
that.
I paid it all.
I understand that.
Okay.
How much did they give you towards the $200 in security deposit that they owed?
They gave me $360. They paid my part of the rent for September, October, November, and December, which was $90. And they also were paying me back for the $200 that I put down in the beginning to help buy food and everything because they, once again, didn't have any. So the total was $500. They paid $360 out of that by paying the rent.
So according to you, they owe $140 in security deposit?
Right. That's what they have left over from that particular amount, right.
What else do you think they owe you for?
They owe me for the cable and electric for the time when they were there from November to December because we had backed bills.
Just 1 second. They left January 9th. Did they pay January's rent?
They paid January's rent, correct.
Good, okay, because they should have paid January's rent because they were there until the 9th, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Why did you move out?
We couldn't handle her anymore. She became overpowering.
Okay, so there was a problem.
Correct.
You have bills showing that there were balances as of December 31st on any of the utilities?
I do.
Show me.
That's electric. This is cable. I have the amounts highlighted that I paid, and this is the receipt for the electric that I paid my share of. All that's left is what they have to pay.
When was the last time you paid utilities?
I paid utilities last
No,
month.
I'm talking to you.
Oh.
We didn't pay them.
No. You're showing me a bill from January 12th, 08 to February 11th, 08. They weren't living there
Right.
then.
That's what was due before.
Oh, balance brought forward $62.
Uh-huh.
62. So they owe $40.
No, the whole balance, the 164, is what was owed from the months before.
No,
It
that's
was-
not true.
The $150 is what we
That's not
ultimately
true. Not according to this. According to this, payments received was $150.
$150 was what was paid. $62.19 was what was left over as a back balance.
$62.19 was what was left over from that bill. The other money is for the current service, which was from January 12th, 08 until February 11th, 08. I can read a bill.
Okay. Well,
So they owe $40 on this. Okay. The City of Fairmount Public Utilities was $364.
Correct.
And they're supposed to pay 2/3 of that.
Right.
Okay, so they owe you $280 in utilities and $140 for their security deposit. And what else do you think that they owe you for?
For slander,
Go ahead.
they told my boyfriend's mom here, Deb Schultz, that I was smoking marijuana, and that led to a lot of tension between him and I. We actually almost broke up over it because he disagrees with it along with drinking.
Did you tell this lady that she was smoking marijuana?
No, we did not. We do not have her number in any way. We don't have any problem with Deb Schultz in any way. She has been very helpful with the apartment in the beginning. Like I said, we do not have her phone number.
Your last name is?
Schultz?
You are the mother of the
her
boyfriend.
Yes.
Go ahead. Well, who called you?
I ran into them.
Oh, so nobody called?
No. I ran into them. They
When?
told me in December sometime.
Okay.
And they told me that Audrey was using drugs. So my
Did
son...
you ask what kind?
Yes, and she told me it was marijuana. And my son is really against girlfriends using any kind of drugs or
Okay,
alcohol.
so now she says it wasn't by phone, it was when you ran into each other. Did that happen?
I do not recall that.
Well, she does. Why would she lie about that?
I don't know, but I do not recall that.
Did she use marijuana while you were living together?
Yes, she did.
When?
Well, we were at a friend's house, and I was in the bedroom with my friend, with her daughter, watching a movie, and she was in there with my friend's boyfriend and Mark, and they were having a conversation about using marijuana, and Mark overheard it.
Overheard what?
Overheard the conversation about them using drugs. And Audrey had asked Mark not to tell me. On the way home, he told me.
What did you overhear, sir?
They were talking about hiding it, not letting me see it, but then giving it to my friend's boyfriend. And
But in all the time that you lived together with the plaintiff, she never smoked marijuana in your presence. That.
No.
What are you poking him for?
I didn't.
not to my knowledge, but
Well, you would not to your knowledge. You have eyes.
she would hide it. She would go out with friends, and
Don't tell me what she would hide it, sir. I'm asking you a very simple question. You never saw her smoke marijuana while she was in your presence.
no, ma'am.
Did you?
No.
First of all, they don't always get things right when they hear things. Is this your boyfriend?
Yes.
Step away from her for a second. That's fine. Have you ever said something to him and then a week later you say, don't you remember I told you that? And he says, you never said that to me. You told me this. So you never said that to you? That never happened?
Sometimes it happens.
Oh,
But
listen.
more than likely he pays attention because...
But I'm just asking you. Never said to you, you didn't say that. That's not what I heard. I don't remember you telling me we had this date. I don't remember you telling me your mother was coming over. I don't remember you telling me we're going out with your sister. None of that. No. It'll happen. They don't always get it right. And to have relied on that statement to make that statement to her boyfriend's mother was probably not good judgment.
Well, he wouldn't lie to me about marijuana because he knows my stance on it. He knows I disagree with it.
Well, and if you said to me that I saw her smoking marijuana I smelled it in the house, that's another story. But for all you know, she could be puffing and she could be showing off for a friend. You don't know that that's true. You lived together for 5 months and you never saw any evidence of it in your home. Saw, smelled, felt, right? So you probably should have kept your nose in your own business.
But we did have a conversation about her drug usage a while after that night at my friend's house, and she had admitted to doing it.
What did she say to you?
And she said she was going to continue doing it because she liked it. And I told her I do not agree with it.
Fine, you can have to agree with it. You're not her moral police. As long as she's not doing it in your home. It's not your business, but that's not slander.
No, what happened was...
It's not slander.
Okay, well, I was talking about a different incident.
Well, you
there's
don't-
something also very different that happened with work.
Do you have witnesses from work?
I do not have witnesses from work, but I do have my suspension paper. I got suspended because they were very good friends with this guy at work.
Listen to me.
Who,
That's all hearsay.
even though I have a document saying that I was suspended,
Okay, whether you were suspended or not, I have to have a witness to tell me why you were suspended.
well, the paper says why.
How do I know if the information they got from them is the only reason that they had to think that you were using drugs? How do I know that? That's not legal in a court. You can't use that as evidence in a court. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, fine. They owe you $320 for their share of the security deposit and the bills that they have. And next time, you have to be careful when you talk about somebody else's reputation. Do you understand? That's all.
Lee Ikuzi says former friend Dean Pottle assaulted him. Dean claims he was only protecting himself.
Ms. Iacusi, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Before we get started, my pronoun is he. I made that clear. My name is Lee, and my pronoun is he. And
I didn't see
DOI.
that. I have Lisa.
Yeah, also known as Lee Ikuzi.
Okay.
I'm a trans.
It is your claim that the defendant assaulted you, Mr. Ikuzi, and the defendant says that quite the contrary, it was you who assaulted him. How do you know each other?
I met Dean Pottle when I was the Portland International Hostel manager, and I was in charge of the facilities at the time, and I also lived there. Dean came to my residence at the hostel looking for work. He was actually homeless at the time, and I took him in.
All right, so that's how you met him.
Yep.
When did this alleged assault take place?
April 2nd, 2005.
Tell me the circumstances, please.
I had a business transaction with Dean Pottle that failed. He was supposed to do a plumbing job for me in exchange for me mowing a lawn for him. I also had $1,000 with the oil paintings in his house that we were going to exchange for him to do plumbing services. I went over to his house 2 times. Both times I brought my witness, and on the second time I was assaulted.
Tell me how you were assaulted.
I brought my friend Buddy. There was a driveway that separated Buddy, Dean, and myself. I was leaning back on the car that was separated about 4 feet of driveway to Dean's house. Dean was arguing with Buddy. I told Dean that I was going to tell everybody that he's bisexual, and he ran 2 big full steps. Pushed his arm, swung me around into the car.
Just a minute, you went very quickly.
Yes.
You said you ran 2 steps?
No, I was leaning against the car here, and there was Dean's house.
Just a second. First you threatened to tell people that he was a bisexual?
Right, because he harassed me.
How was he harassing you when you came to his house?
I was at his house to collect money and my oil paintings.
I didn't hear how he was harassing you.
He harassed me 3 days before, and I was still upset about the incident. And
How did he harass you 3 days before?
I was at his house. I was massaging his hands. He went into the bathroom to take off his shirt to massage his shoulders. He came out butt naked and asked me to play with his...
So then why would you go back to his house?
Well, I brought a witness with me because I had $1,000 worth of paintings that
Did you get your paintings?
The second time that I arrived at the defendant's house, I did get my paintings.
Then what I'm asking you is, why did you have any exchange with him at all if you had your paintings?
On the day, within the hour of the assault, at the beginning of the assault, I came in, brought a friend, asked him to go get my paintings, which I needed.
So we went and got your paintings?
Right. While I was getting my paintings, Dean came outside.
Just a second. Your paintings are in the car? If all 3 of you were there...
Paintings are in the car.
So now they're in the car.
Right.
Why aren't you in the car leaving?
Because he owes me more money. He owes me money.
Untrue.
He owes money from doing a plumbing job that he refuses to pay me. So I'm asking for my money. He refuses to pay me.
Put your hand down, please.
He refuses to pay me. And we have a verbal exchange. We've been friends for 7 years. I was really upset at what he did to me. I'm going through this transition. I felt he was taking advantage of me.
Keep going.
And words were exchanged. He walked 2 steps up to me and pushed me into a car. I swung back and got him off me. And
When you swung back, you hit him.
well, he was on top of me. He was on top of me. He pushed me into a car, and he was on top of me.
How was he on top of you?
I have fingerprints. He pushed me like this, and he was on top of me right here when he pushed me. I leaned back, and I hit him.
I only defended myself.
Let me hear what happened, sir.
Well, when I followed him out with the paintings, and the car was out on the street, and I stood back at my driveway, probably 20 feet away from the car. When he went toward the car to put the paintings in the street, she came out of the vehicle and came toward me. Now, she was nowhere near a vehicle. Now, she came toward me very aggressively and yelling profanities and everything else, so I instinctively put my hand out to defend myself. And when she came close to me, I went like this and said, "Get out of Portland," because I felt she didn't belong in our environment there. And I turned to look at him, and he says, "Oh, you touched her first." And when I looked back, she went, bam, like this, right against my lip here. And I staggered back, yelled at me, and that's when she left.
First of all, sit up. Second of all, don't speak until I speak to you.
Okay.
Do you have a photograph of your injury?
No, I don't.
Do you have a photograph of your injury?
I have documentation of medical records.
I'd like to see it, please. Now you can step up, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Tell me your name.
My name is Buddy Bercu,
Spell your last name.
B-E-R-C-U. It's Romanian.
Left hand, left arm,
Kind of
Bruce.
difficult the first time. Anyways.
All right, now I ask questions.
Yes, go ahead.
I ask questions.
Please.
The paintings are in the car.
Okay, the paintings are in the car. I come back. he comes out, and the car is parked right by the driveway.
Who's in the car?
No one's in the car. They're both arguing with each other, and I'm like, okay, let them vent a little bit and get some of this out, you know, because
Just a second.
I
Where
don't want to
were they
intervene.
as you were putting the paint? I'm speaking. You're not paying attention
when
to
they were
me.
putting
I'm-
the paintings were already in the car, you said.
Listen to me.
Okay,
Listen. Try
I'm trying.
putting on your listening ears.
I will.
You're putting the paintings in the car,
That's correct.
and he's letting you take the paintings.
That's correct.
Now, the last of the paintings is in the car, right?
That's correct.
Why didn't you both get in the car and leave?
Because, Your Honor, this isn't about that. It's about the disrespect and the way that the abuse had gone down in the first place, and he had not
You're
said he
talking
was
about
sorry.
this incident 3 days before that Lee has just described to me.
Apparently, Lee hadn't worked through the whole incident yet, Your Honor.
Then he was angry.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Got it. See how easy it is to get to the truth?
Can I give you some more truth, or do you want?
Can I get to the truth?
Can I be quiet?
Absolutely. Can you give me some more bald facts, sir?
Yes, sir.
I
Yes, ma'am.
determine what the truth is.
I understand that.
You understand?
You're the judge.
Okay. So far, we have somebody who wanted their paintings, made 3 trips, got the paintings, but according to you and your Lee's witness, Lee wasn't finished being angry about something that happened 3 days before and wanted an apology.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I got
And then what happened was he said, instead of, I have a restraining order on you, or get out of my property, he said, get out of Portland, which I thought was a little bit wide of a swath for his powers. I mean, Portland's a big
Yes.
place. Then he approached, what he did was he just said, basically, get out of Portland, get out of Portland. And the third get out of Portland, he rushed like he was doing a shot put. And just the whole body, everything came through, but not upward, but straight, like a thrust, and hit. And I could see that she grimaced in pain, and she was crying out. And then what happened simply is a counterattack just to save face. Because I would imagine transitioning to become a man, you have to prove to other men you're a man. So that's why I stayed away from this up until this point. I didn't feel there was any danger up to that point where I had to intervene. I got some heat for that. Say, well, I should have just kicked his, I wasn't going to do that. So anyway, I don't think violence solves anything. And at any rate, what happened was he said, you can't hit me. Or you can't hit me, I'll kill you, or something. I don't remember what it was exactly. Something to that effect. Just was really surprised that Lee would counterattack. And then I just stepped in and said, look, you hit Lee first. And just kind of diffused him.
Did you see his bloody lip?
No, he had no bloody lip. There's no. It was the hand. She was like, like this, because it was not a closed fist. And I never use a fist because you could not close
I
it.
might ask interested whether you use a fist.
But
or
I'm
not.
just saying, you can hurt
I'm
your
not
hand.
interested.
Okay.
Shh, I'm not interested whether you use a fist
stop.
or
I'm
not.
gonna
It's
kill
not
Yes, ma'am.
particularly
I'm gonna
relevant
kill you.
here.
I want you to stop. You're going to be making a fool of yourself. I want you to stop.
Shh.
You're
I apologize. If
killing me.
Right.
When was the first time that you were prescribed Vicodin?
I've had an ongoing neck and condition.
Right, I see
since-
that. So you had all kinds of problems that you were prescribed Vicodin for and all kinds of other pain medication.
Right.
Listen, you both behaved badly. You're not supposed to hit her. She's not supposed to come onto your property aggressively, which is exactly what she did. You're not supposed to push her. You're not supposed to punch him. It's over. Finished. Who has an order of protection? Either one of you?
I'm going to get one from both of them.
Well, that's a very, very good idea, sir.
Thank you.
And do me a favor, get one for me, too. That's all. Thank you. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused.
Melissa Poncelet del Sol says director Dr. Noel Howell owes for her services as a makeup artist on his film. Dr. Howell is countersuing for money owed.
Is it Miss Del Sol?
Yes.
You were hired by the defendant, according to your complaint, to be makeup artist in a photo shoot that he was organizing on the island of Antigua.
Almost. It was a feature film, actually.
And you traveled to Antigua.
Correct.
And it is your claim that he owes you money. He says that he paid you some money, actually, but you left the project and you were a nut while you were there, and you caused him to spend thousands of dollars in down production time and your replacement, and he has a counterclaim. How much was he supposed to pay you?
$2,000 for my services.
So far, is that correct, Mr. Howell?
Yes, it is.
And what kind of film were you making?
It's an action flick.
How much money did you have to make this film?
About 150,000 US.
Have you ever made a film before?
Yes.
How many films?
2 prior to this.
Where? In what country?
I made one in Antigua, and I made one in New York.
Was the one that you made in New York a full-length feature?
Yes, it was.
Did it sell anything?
It's still in production, post-production.
Was the film that was made in Antigua completed?
It was completed.
Okay. How much were you paid by him of the $2,000 that was agreed upon?
$600.
When did you arrive?
I arrived January 16th.
When did you leave?
February 1st.
When were you supposed to leave?
February 10th.
So you didn't complete the job?
No.
Tell me why.
Because he basically sexually harassed me. The cast was sexually harassing me. They failed to provide me with food and water as agreed upon 3 times a day. Various violent things happened.
What did you eat?
I was lucky to eat 1 time a day, and usually it was a couple pieces of lettuce and an egg. Sometimes I got something called goat water, which is what they do when they take a goat and they kill it and they put it in some rainwater on the front lawn and they boil it, and it's not quite soup.
Where did it say in your contract that he was supposed to provide you with meals?
I actually never received a written contract. That was another reason why we are having this trouble. We have a verbal contract. The contract included that he would pay me for my services rendered, for my makeup kit expenses, for my lodging, food, and transportation, and he was also supposed to supply me with a cell phone, which he never did.
And in exchange for all of that, you were supposed to work from January 16th to February 10th.
I was unable to.
Why?
Through the circumstances that they were putting me through.
How many other people left?
I actually heard a few rumors that a few other people...
I'm not interested in rumors.
Okay.
How many people that you know that you would be able to name for me left the production?
I do know for a fact that the wardrobe lady left.
Did the wardrobe lady leave?
No.
Did she finish the production?
She did finish the production.
Did she leave before or after you did?
Before.
So you actually knew she left?
Right. I didn't see her.
Well, why didn't you tell me that first?
It's slipped my mind. I'm sorry.
What happened, Mr. Howell? Why did she leave?
Well, Melissa had to leave for a number of reasons. The main reason was because Melissa was incapable of doing her work. She was smoking and drinking. Her action became so bizarre, it was hilarious at times, dangerous at times. And I had to replace her on more than one occasion with makeup artists because she just could not function.
When you say she was drinking, you mean she was intoxicated?
Well, she was drinking, and her behavior would lead me to believe she was intoxicated. But
Give me an example.
On Saturday the 24th of January, I got on set and I was like, yo, you need to go talk to Melissa. I'm like, what's going on? And they said, I don't know what's up. So I went over to her, and she was like, why? Why? And
I got it.
Yes, Your Honor. And it was behavior like that. I was like, Melissa, what's going on? And then she was like, oh, Doc. Then she started complaining about a lot of things that was happening, and then...
What was she complaining about, Mr.
Okay, one of the things she was complaining about is that there was a person who was on the set. He wasn't part of the production team. And Melissa and him had become acquaintance. And she was stating that he was actually trying to have sex with her.
Who was this person, if he wasn't part of the production team?
What happened was we needed some guns, and he had brought... He flew in from New York to bring down some guns for us. His name was Robert.
He flew down to bring guns?
Yes.
What kind of guns?
Prop guns.
Prop guns?
Yes.
So he actually flew down at your request to add things to your production?
To the production, right.
All right, so he was there at your request, and she was complaining that he was making sexual advances towards her?
Yeah, that was a Saturday night, yes.
That was on the 24th?
24th, Saturday the 24th.
So what did you do? What did you say to her?
I told Melissa that I would address the issue after we finish the set. But let's go, let's get you calmed down, and I will talk to him after I got taken care of her and her anxiety.
So what did you do?
So I told her I'm going to do 3 things to make sure that she feels more comfortable on set. Issue number 1. There'll be no male around her, talking to her, unless they were sitting in her makeup chair, because she was complaining that there were other people frequenting her set. Number 2, I told her there'll be no more smoking on set.
You mean smoking cigarettes or
smoking weed?
Smoking weed? Oh.
And Your Honor, if I must add, she was smoking the good weed. It was a strong Antiguan weed.
And she was?
Yes.
Was smoking...
The good Antigua ganja.
She was smoking marijuana.
Marijuana.
Is that right?
No, it's not.
Yeah, sure
it's a complete lie.
Just a second. He's absolutely telling me the truth.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
No,
Go ahead.
He's not.
The 3rd thing was I was going to try and adjust the source of her weed.
The source?
Yes.
So you were saying that if Robert's sexually harassing you, I want you to stop smoking weed, and I'm going to get rid of your supplier.
Yes.
Sounds like an interesting production, Mr. Howell.
No, Your Honor, there was more than just the sexual harassment. There was a lot going on, and I was trying to address the issues. The sexual harassment was just one part of the issue.
Okay. Did you ever complain to him about sexual harassment by anybody other than Robert?
Yes, I did.
Who?
There were a few people who were grips.
And what were they doing?
They set up light stands. They handled the lighting.
No, I don't mean what were they doing as grips.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm
what were
sorry.
they doing to you?
By them, and they would touch me, and they would tell me about how later that night they would like to do various things to me.
And what'd you say to them?
I said that that was very inappropriate, and I would like them to not talk to me in that way anymore.
Your Honor, that's untrue.
The only one she complained to you about was Robert?
Was Robert.
I believe him. I believe him. Now, I just want to know why you left on February 1st.
Because he no longer was giving me the means to do my job. He kept confiscating my makeup kit every night, so I wasn't able to clean and organize my brushes and my makeup kit. So I would arrive to set with dirty brushes. I finally said to him, this is unacceptable. As we've spoken about this many times, I need to be able to have my makeup kit in my possession at night so that I can organize it, clean my brushes, and arrive on set and do my job.
Was there ever a time...
Sorry?
Was there ever a time that you did not show up on the set on time, ready to proceed?
No.
Yes, Your Honor, there were times. First of all, I've never, ever touched her makeup kit. Never confiscated anything to do with her makeup kit. And why would I want a dirty makeup on my set? I would never do such a thing, Your Honor.
I don't understand why he took your makeup kit.
I frankly don't understand either. However, I do know that when it was finally returned to me, $4,000 worth of makeup was removed from it, and I'm not sure if it's because he wanted to keep it to give to his new makeup artists to use on his film.
Who bought the makeup?
That was my makeup.
You purchased the makeup, and he stole your makeup?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have receipts here that I gave her my credit card over the phone. She used a credit card. She bought makeup with a credit card. Then she called me and she told me I owed her $700-something for the makeup. I went and I gave her cash. However, later I found out that that $700 include $500-something that was actually purchased on my credit card. So not only did I give her the $780 cash for everything, she also used a credit card. So she only spent maybe $200-something of her own money. So Melissa is a con artist. She's very good at this thing. And I guess from the onset, that's what she was doing.
I actually have the receipt for that $765.30, and it was actually my father's Visa card, not his.
And Your Honor, I have the receipt that she submitted to me, and this is what the receipt she gave me.
Just a minute.
And on this is what she told me she spent, and if my memory serves me correctly, it said MasterCard. And she gave me this.
This receipt that you gave me is for $532.60.
Right.
What she has here is $765, purchased on the 13th of January.
Yeah, Your Honor, I have the rest of the receipt. This is what she gave me. She gave me everything here together, $776, and that what she gave me was supposed to be, this was supposed to be cash, and that part of it was supposed to be the credit card.
Did you take back any makeup from her?
I did not.
Did you take any makeup from her kit?
I did not.
Did anybody as part of your production team?
Someone might have, but not to my knowledge. The only thing that I know, there was a bottle of blood that was left in the office that we end up using.
What I'm asking you is, did you or anyone at your direction take makeup from her kit?
No.
Okay.
I have a list of the missing makeup inventory.
Just a second. Did you see him take any makeup from your kit?
I did see him remove several items of my makeup from my hotel room when he burst in through the door and threatened to hit me in the face.
Your Honor,
just a second. Ms. Delso, what items do you tell me now that you saw him take out of your makeup kit?
4 gallons of blood.
Other than that?
I didn't see it with my own eyes.
Your Honor, 4 gallons of blood cannot hold in the makeup kit.
Hey, just a second.
I'm sorry.
You didn't see him take anything else?
No, all I know is that when I walked off set, because I had dehydration and sunstroke, because no one would let me sit in their car of the shelter or give me any water on set.
There we go again.
Sure. Be quiet.
My makeup kit was left on set, and it was unlocked.
I have no idea who took it. Okay, let me hear your counterclaim, sir. 30 seconds or less.
Your Honor, because of her behavior, her inability to perform the job that she was expected to do. I had to bring in an assistant. I had to bring in another makeup artist. I also ended up paying a hospital bill because of her behavior. She was seen by a doctor there.
What were you seen by a doctor for?
He actually forced me to see a doctor while I was there.
Just
and it was to die. Well, at the time I had no idea. After I was seen by the doctor, I was told that I was not homicidal or suicidal, which was rather shocking.
So you went to see a doctor in Antigua?
Yes, but it wasn't that I went to go see them. We were actually shooting a scene in a clinic that day, so he escorted me into the clinic, and I thought I was going in there to set up my makeup kit. And then suddenly I was alone in a room with the doctor.
Don't go on any more photo shoots to Antigua.
I won't.
Very good. Mr. Howell, when you have a large production staff, sir, I assume you've had difficulties before, of various kinds, not necessarily with makeup artists, but with people who aren't performing their job. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
And you had to replace them?
Yes.
Have you ever sued anybody for that, sir?
Not as yet.
You will be unsuccessful if you sue them. You want to know why?
Why?
Because the courts are busy enough. You got to choose your people better. Get better recommendations. Do whatever you have to do as the CEO of this organization to make sure that you hire people who can do the job. But you don't go around suing them afterwards if your production is slowed down.
Not afterward.
Listen to me. We're too busy to clean up after CEOs who don't do their homework and hire appropriate people. And if there's something wrong with her because she has a mental disability, which I assume that you thought she had if you took her to a doctor, then you didn't do your homework carefully enough. But you don't get paid for that, sir. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Similarly, madam, you did not fulfill your contract. You went home. He stole your makeup. I'm not sure what happened there. He got paid a little. It wasn't a pleasant experience.
Yeah, it was the weed.
Hey, listen to me and don't interrupt me. Did I give you plenty of opportunity to talk?
Yes, Your Honor.
I assume that the plaintiff was not the only one on your set who was smoking this wonderful weed that they had in Antigua. I assume that that would be correct, sir. Look over there at his face. Was he there?
Yeah, he was there.
You get my drift?
Yeah.
I don't smoke.
Good. Me neither. But I'm sure there were people there who did. Right?
Yeah, Melissa.
Only her? You think that I believe that?
No, a few.
A few.
But not, and that don't have anything to do with the set.
Right, very good. Okay. Goodbye, folks. I don't think you have a case, madam. You got paid some money. I know he doesn't. That's all.
April Harrington says former live-in boyfriend Fred Badman sold her belongings after she moved out. Fred is countersuing, claiming April also stole from him.
Ms. Harrington, according to the complaint that I read, you and the defendant were in a relationship and lived together for a period of time. When you moved in together, you took some of your stuff and put it in a storage unit. The storage unit was in Mr. Badman's name.
That's right.
And he paid for it.
No.
That's what he says. There came a time when the two of you parted company, a day that you will tell me about briefly, and it is your claim that he got rid of the stuff in your storage unit, which you wanted back. Mr. Badman acknowledges that he emptied the storage unit. Some of your stuff he gave to the Salvation Army. Some of your furniture he still has. And the reason he did that was that when you moved out, you took a substantial amount of property that did not belong to you, that belonged to him and to his daughter, and he has a counterclaim. How long did you live together?
He moved in with me in February of 2004. He had a dog, and I had a dog, and I was only allowed one dog at my apartment complex. Therefore, he moved into his own place. And about a few weeks after him living there, he begged me to move in, told me how much cheaper it would be.
Just listen to me.
Okay.
This is not a 1,000-page tome that we're going to do here. When did you move in together?
May of 2004.
And when did you put your property in storage?
The end of May, I believe.
The day she moved in. There wasn't room in my apartment for many of the things.
What did you put in storage?
I put living room furniture, dishes. My parents had started collecting teddy bears for me when I was a child. A futon, a bed, clothes, shoes, dresser, desk combination, a glass mirror, and my diploma, important tax information papers, all sorts of things.
And when did you separate?
July 25th, 2004.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding your moving out.
I had found out that he had been cheating on me with her,
that is his baby's mother. We were going to court for custody of his child, me and him together, and I found out that he was cheating on me. I came home from work early, asked him, you know, why are you doing this? Can we please talk about this? He then shoved me into a dresser and I dislocated my finger. The police then told him that he should leave the apartment for a few days while I got my things together. Within those 3 days, he came back and broke in his own door, busted the lock off, and I moved out the very next day because I wasn't safe living there with no lock on the door. I took the things that belonged to me and only me. The only thing that I have of him are some pornography tapes that I did not bring with me because of the security on the airplane, and I didn't want them flashing about. They're kind of disgusting.
What'd you take them for?
They were actually in a box of movies of mine.
When did you try to get your property back?
Right after I moved out, I went to the storage unit to see. I had a key to it because my things were in it. I did pay for it, and he had changed the locks.
Now I'll hear you, sir.
When we did break up, it was because of accusing me of fooling around with her. We were just friends. We've always stayed friends because we have a child in common. So I didn't want to argue, so I left the home. She called the police. We went down there. She decided she didn't want to charge say anything because she told the police that I beat her up or whatever. So then we went to the police station.
You did. You broke my
anything. She did not file the report. Anything. She said.
Shh. Don't say anything when he's testifying. You know how quiet he was when you
Sure.
were telling me your story? I read your complaint very carefully. You came home and you wanted to talk to him. That's
Correct.
what you said in your complaint.
Correct.
He was sleeping.
No, he was up.
It says, I'm reading from your complaint, things were going terribly for us, and he was served with an eviction notice. On July 25th, not June, on July 25th, 2004, everything came to a head. We were in an argument. I came home from work to talk to Fred. He was sleeping, and I tried to get him to talk to me. That's what you said.
Okay, that's fine.
And when you want to talk to somebody and they're sleeping and they don't want to communicate with you, you get angry.
No, I was not angry.
You weren't angry.
No, I was not.
No, you weren't angry.
I was upset.
You were living with somebody. You think he was fooling around with the mother of his child. According to you, you came home. You found him sleeping. You went in there, and he didn't want to talk to you. And so he broke your finger.
He did.
Ms. Harrington, I have no question that your finger got broken. I don't think he broke it.
He wrote it in his report to the police. I actually have it.
Oh,
if
I'd
you'd
like to see that. He said he broke your finger. I'd like to see that.
Yes, it
I
does say that.
squeezed her hand. And that was after she went and punched the wall
It's
about 20
highlighted in
times
yellow.
around her. On the report, it says that there's no injuries to anybody. She didn't report any injuries to the police.
No,
right
there were none marked.
I just wanted her to leave me alone. April started to poke me on the right side of my body with her finger. I told her to leave me alone. She continued to poke me with her finger, saying, stop being a blank jerk and talk to me. You know, you live long enough, you could practically write the scenario. I want to talk to you. Leave me alone. I just want to sleep. I don't want to talk to you now. Leave me alone. I want to talk to you. Then you say, I rolled over and grabbed her hand. I cannot remember which I had grabbed, but it was her bad hand, and she started crying. April asked me why I grabbed her like that, and I said, because you keep poking me.
I wasn't poking him. I really wanted to talk about it. I was very upset.
Listen to me. I got it. You just told me you weren't upset.
No,
listen to me. A moment ago, you said, I came home from work, I just wanted to talk, I wasn't upset. Listen to me, Miss Harrington.
Your Honor, I wasn't angry. I was very upset. I was crying, hurt. I was not angry.
Then what I'm telling you is, you upset, angry, whatever it was, you can't put your hands on somebody like this. And if they don't like it, which she said, you gave me the report. So you want to vouch for the truth of this report.
No, just
the part that you like.
No, that's not true. If
Just
you
the
read
part-
my
listen,
statement also.
I'm reading his statement.
Okay.
That's what you gave me.
If you keep reading it, he also pushed me in the face and kicked me off the bed. And
listen to me. He wanted you to leave him alone.
So it's okay if he kicks me and...
You shouldn't have put your hands on him. Miss Harrington, you put your hands on somebody.
I wasn't hurting him. I was...
Listen to me. You can't put your hands on somebody and continue to irritate them and expect them to do nothing.
That's fine.
Good. What property of hers did you give away to the Salvation Army?
Things I gave away of hers, I went and retrieved all the stuff from the storage unit because I didn't want to pay
What
anymore
month did you do that?
February 05, ma'am.
So you left it there for 6 months?
Many months I left it there.
She asked you for the stuff back.
I wanted my items back before I was going to give her anything. That's what I told her.
What items were they?
She took my entertainment stand, A bunch of movies.
Just a second. Entertainment stand. What does that look like, sir?
It's right here. And a tent. That's what I got pictures of.
I need a cup of coffee.
An entertainment stand, some movies.
Shh. Okay. I mean, this entertainment stand, did you put it together yourself?
Yes, I did.
You put it together yourself?
Yes. I bought it from an appliance store years ago.
$69, you put it all together?
No, it was $300. It's a large entertainment stand.
I'm looking at it, sir. I got it.
Okay.
Let us say she took the entertainment stand. And she took
tent.
Did you take his tent?
No, I did not.
Did you take his entertainment stand?
He gave that to me because where he was moving had a big screen TV and he no longer needed it.
Oh.
Big screen TV.
What else do you say she took of yours, sir?
She took my fishing tackle box, some PlayStation 1 video games. I don't know why she would have took my Jack, but Jack wasn't at my house no more. And she took my daughter's clothing and toys. Because when we were living together, we went out together, bought clothing and toys and many things for my daughter's birthday when she turned 1. And when she moved out, she figured I bought them, I'm taking them myself. So she took all the things that we bought together for my daughter.
All the things that she paid for?
Correct.
Good.
We paid for.
Listen to me. All the things that you paid for.
Correct.
Listen to me, Miss Harrington. You may have paid for them, but once you make a gift, then they no longer belong to you.
Okay, I actually bought them because we were going to custody for the child.
I don't care. They were not... The clothes didn't fit you.
Correct.
The toys weren't for you to play with. And once you purchase something and give it away, the gift is complete. You no longer have ties to it. You cannot take it. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
So that was wrong.
I know that was wrong.
So why didn't you give them back?
I took them out of spite, actually, honestly. And I did not give them back because we didn't talk anymore after that. He no longer... He wouldn't give me my things out of the storage unit. And
did he ask you for his daughter's things
No, he
back?
never. He gave them to me willingly.
No, I don't believe that. Madam, you just said to me, that's a fib. Fib, because you just said to me, I took them out of spite.
Ma'am,
listen to me, you can't have it both ways.
I asked them for them back out of spite, yes, and he did give them to me willingly. I went to his new house.
Sounds to me
after
like
he
you
moved.
two people did a lot of nasty things to each other.
Very true.
But, Mr. Badman, you cannot dispose of her property.
I kept...
You can go to court and seek to recoup your $29.99 TV stand. Or, if you say your tent, which she says she doesn't have, that you can do. But you cannot give away her property.
I kept the important things, Your Honor. I kept all of her...
Oh, good. That's what I want to see. What important things that you kept?
I kept all of the furniture that she had, and I kept important documents like her taxes that she's been wanting.
Good.
And
I'd like to see all of those
her
things,
GED
sir.
papers.
Perfect. Oh, this is going
Would
to
you
be
like
such
my list also?
I'm speaking.
Okay.
It's all junk, Your Honor. Yes, I
In
have
your
all that.
house?
It's at my aunt's house.
It looks like it's in a barn.
It is. So I wasn't going to keep paying $85 a month for stuff.
You should have given it back to her.
I didn't want to do that when she's kept all my stuff.
You're a big baby, Mr. Badman. You're a baby.
All right.
Yeah, you're a baby. 5 days from today, she's going to pick up all of her property. It's to be put together in good order.
The place where my things are at, there are 13 cats. And the house itself and the barn itself is absolutely covered in feces and urine.
Miss Harrington, this is your choice. The property has been in Mr. Badman's possession now for over a year.
Correct.
You had a choice. Your choice was to immediately pursue him in court, just as you did now, a
He
month
told me
later.
he
Listen
sold
to
it.
me. A month later, and get your stuff.
He told me he sold it.
Well, then what brought you here a year later?
It's
not an answer.
He started leaving notes in my car, like trying to get in contact with me, so I went to see him, and he told me he sold them.
And I'm telling you, what you did was you waited for a year to pursue a matter in court, and now if you don't like the way the stuff has been, you're not going to get the cash for it. Okay. Now I want you to tell me what you gave to Salvation Army.
I gave 2 Rubbermaid bins of clothing that was all moldy and gross from sitting around forever. The little box of ceramic dishes that she had. A few of them items were broke, so I had to throw them in the garbage. And a little bag of teddy bears that were just junk, and that was it.
Mr. Badman, that junk is going to cost you $1,000.
For dishes?
They weren't broken when she left them, and the clothes weren't moldy when she left them. and the teddy bears were a collection of hers, and you had no right to dispose of them. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now, what proof do you have that she took any of your property?
I don't really have proof of anything because when I've broken up with girls before and I've dealt with them stealing like a couple things, and I just wanted to move on with my life.
You mean this has happened to you before?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
A couple.
You're very unlucky in love. Are you together now with the mother of your child?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
You live together?
She's my fiancée. She's going to be married soon.
Oh, wonderful. So you did a little bit
Getting my
backwards,
life all straightened out and everything's good, and just want to be with my child and get all this over with.
Very good. My complaint against Miss Harrington is a complaint that I can put on your shoulders as well, sir. You had a legal remedy, right?
I didn't choose to do anything.
You chose to do nothing.
Right.
And you have no proof that she took anything.
And she has no proof of what was in the storage unit either.
Listen to me.
Of the few items that she does have.
You just told me what it was that you, as far as I'm concerned, maliciously gave away, including something that she says was a teddy bear collection that she had for a very long time, and you said it was a bunch of junk teddy bears. It's not nice. That's irritating. You told me that. She didn't. I wouldn't even look at her list. I asked you what she gave to Salvation Army. So your counterclaim's dismissed. 5 days from today, she's going to pick up all of her stuff. And you owe her $1,000 for the stuff that you gave away wrongfully. That's all. Step out.
Daniel Seabolt says ex-girlfriend Amanda Deaton lied to him, claiming he was the father of her baby. He is suing for unpaid rent and the return of his PlayStation and computer.
Right, Mr. Seabolt, you and the defendant had a relationship, according to what I read in your complaint. The defendant became pregnant. According to you, you leased an apartment in your name.
Your Honor.
You moved in together. She had her baby. You didn't get along.
Correct.
You subsequently ascertained that this baby was not yours. You took a paternity test.
Right, Your Honor.
And you separated.
We actually separated before the paternity test.
So you separated, and then you took the paternity test.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you told her when you moved out that you wanted her to move out too, because
Right, Your Honor.
you didn't want to be responsible for the rent anymore. She did not. She stayed in the apartment for several months. Is that right?
Yeah, about 2 months.
You want her to pay that 2 months' rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in addition, you claimed that you left some property at the house. You want that property.
I would like that back, yes.
Ms. Deaton says she doesn't have your property. You knew that you didn't have to leave the house, that you could have stayed there with your family, that you knew that there was a possibility that this baby wasn't yours all along, so that she didn't fool you. Is that true, by the way?
That is, I knew there was a small chance that the baby was not mine.
How small a chance?
I assume there's a very small chance, but obviously not that small.
Just curious. Why did you assume that there was a chance that the child wasn't yours?
Because I found out that she had cheated on me with one of my best friends. After I found that out, and then we started talking a couple months later, and we tried to patch things back up, and then we found out she was pregnant.
How come you didn't have a paternity test immediately?
I was just trying to forget the incident of the cheating and the separation, trying to work back towards our relationship, and any reminder that was sort of painful for me. I was just trying to get back on with our lives.
How old are you, Mr. Seabolt?
I am 22 years old.
How old are you, Miss Deaton?
18.
Shh. Please. How old is your baby?
My daughter is 14 months old.
Does the child's father pay child support?
No, he does not.
Why not?
At the time of conceiving my daughter, I was not dating Daniel. I was in a relationship with the father. Upon becoming pregnant, upon knowing I was pregnant, I should say, because I did not find out right away. I found out after I was 10 weeks along. Daniel and I had started dating at that time when I...
Could you answer my question? I mean, I'm not interested in from the year of the flood. I just want to know how
No, he
come
does
the
not.
father doesn't pay child support for the child.
He signed his rights over to Daniel Seabolt.
You mean he terminated his parental rights?
Yes, he did.
With a lawyer?
I don't believe so. It was between him and I and 2 witnesses, and then notarized and sitting in his courthouse, so...
It means nothing.
That's good to know. Thank you. I was not of knowledge.
Well, I'm telling you, unless he's been advised of his right to counsel, child has to have an attorney as well before somebody can give up their rights. He's giving up his rights to somebody else who's not the father. Ridiculous. Correct. Your child has the right to be supported by 2 parents. And before somebody can give up their parental rights, there are certain rules and regulations that have to be followed. And you can't just wake up one morning, give yourself a good scratch on the rear end and say, I think I'm going to give up my rights and my responsibility as a father. How old is this other character?
22 as well.
Okay. Now, she stayed in the apartment for 2 months after you moved out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you expect her to go?
I assumed she'd either go to her parents' house, where we actually moved from, because they were kind enough to let me stay there when we found out she was pregnant. I told her upon leaving that I wanted to move back into the apartment, so I was asking her to leave, but I didn't want to put Sierra, our daughter, out. I wanted to keep a roof over her head, and I told her she could either stay there and pay rent, or I asked her kindly to move out.
How long was your lease?
The lease was a year lease.
And how many months did you actually live there?
I lived there from July to December, so that's 7 months.
Did you move back into the apartment?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Well, are they suing you for the entire remainder of the lease?
I'm not quite sure exactly what they're suing me on.
Well, why don't you let me take a look, since I don't think you understand legal documents very well.
I do not have a copy of how much. I spoke with the representative, Stacy, and she told me...
I'm not interested in what Stacy told you, sir. That's hearsay.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Mr. Seabold, you're 22 years old. What do you do for a living, sir?
I work at Walgreens. I'm a photo specialist.
How high of an education did you have?
I graduated high school.
One of the things you have to have when you come to court is evidence.
Right, yeah.
If you're dealing with a managing company, the managing company will tell you and will be more than happy to memorialize in a writing how much money they are claiming you owe them.
Unfortunately, I couldn't get a hold of the person to send me the facts.
So what do you want me to do, Mr. Seabold? What do you want me to do?
I obviously don't expect you to go and do my research for me.
You're absolutely right. I feel sorry for you because they probably will come after you not only for the 2 months that she lived there, but probably for the remainder of the lease if they haven't rented the apartment. You can't come to court and expect me to get your proof for you. You understand?
Yeah, I understand, Your Honor.
Good. What property did you leave there, Mr. Seabold?
I left my laptop computer.
Where is his computer?
That's exactly why I brought my mother. The computer is not in my possession. Upon Daniel leaving, he took just a duffel bag with some clothes. He did come back to the apartment at one time where an altercation occurred between him and I.
About what?
He came to the apartment with his girlfriend.
Oh, that's not... Why did you do that?
She was my ride. I didn't want to go alone.
Nobody else could drive you there except a new girlfriend?
Unfortunately, yes. I had moved...
Tacky. Tacky. Right?
Yeah, not
That's
the
pretty
best choice. I discovered later on, yeah.
Tacky. Okay. Laptop computer, sir. When you leave, it seems to me that's one of the first things you take with you is a laptop computer. Why didn't you take it with you the first time?
I was being a nice guy, and Amanda had asked me to keep it there so she can go online and apply for some jobs.
I have my own laptop computer.
Which doesn't have the capability to go online through a landline. It's only capable of going through DSL, and we did not have that service.
So where's his computer? Don't look down at the floor. Just listen to me. So far, you're not losing, but don't lie.
Oh, I'm not going to lie. My parents are in possession of the PlayStation and the computer.
Oh, fine, so that they can return it to him.
The reason that they have it is there's a large amount of money that Daniel owes my parents.
Just a second. What does Daniel owe your parents money for?
My daughter's christening that he had said he was prepared to pay for the day of the christening. After the guests had left the christening party, my parents had to pay because he was not prepared to.
What else?
My parents paid rent in November, but it was actually December. It was November's rent they paid because we were behind.
What else?
I don't even know, honestly.
Listen to me very carefully. You can stand up next to your daughter. Mr. Seabold may be a 22-year-old idiot, but I'm not. You expect him to pay for a christening for a child that's not his?
He agreed to pay for the christening.
Look, listen to me. Shh.
He planned...
Listen to me. This is your daughter.
Right.
This is your grandchild.
Oh, yeah.
You pay for the christening.
Sure.
You cannot keep his computer. You cannot keep his PlayStation. You cannot keep any of his property. Do I make myself clear?
Sure.
Good. Your daughter lived in an apartment, and if you helped out with rent for a month, you helped your daughter, right?
Sure.
Perfect. So, PlayStation and computer. What else, Mr. Seabold?
There was
Don't leave yet. Are you living with your parents, by the way?
No, I am not.
Who are you living with?
My grandmother.
How come?
Due to a situation between my parents and I.
What kind of situation?
There are problems with my teenage brother and myself that I'm old enough to not need to live there, and my brother is a minor, so he needs to stay at his parents. So I have taken my daughter, and I am at my grandmother's.
That computer better be returned to him, as well as the PlayStation, in perfect condition.
They were not in perfect condition when taken.
Exactly the same way as they were when they were taken.
Absolutely.
Don't mess around with me.
No,
You'll be
he can
very
have them all.
unhappy if you mess around with me.
I believe
me.
you.
What else?
There was a RCA 19-inch television set.
Where's the TV?
The TV was taken out of the apartment by Daniel and was taken to wherever he was at that time.
That is true. I was debating on whether or not I should try to put this in the case. I stayed at some friend's house, and when I moved out, there were some skirmishes between us and them, and he told me that he gave it back to Amanda.
You cannot tell me what anybody told you.
I apologize, Your Honor.
You get back your computer and your PlayStation.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's a 22-year-old man need a PlayStation for? What do you do with it?
I use it for entertainment, for relaxation.
He doesn't work. He lived at our house for a year and never paid a penny. He doesn't have a car. He didn't have a job. When he had a job, he took her car.
So?
So we supported him. That's why he had a lot of time to play PlayStation.
How old are you?
40.
How old was he, 20?
Yeah.
He was 20. So he's staying home, sharing a room with your daughter, playing his PlayStation. You're supporting them. Is that right?
Yes.
That doesn't make you too smart.
No, believe me.
But that's what you chose to do.
Right.
He doesn't owe you money for that.
No, he doesn't.
Right.
Gratitude would be nice.
Did you get gratitude from your daughter?
More than him.
Not enough. Right, Miss Deaton?
Oh, not enough. Not right now, no.
Right. I assumed so. We won't go there because this is only a half-hour program. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is for your security deposit back.
Correct.
You used your high school money, $1,000 for security deposit.
Correct.
How long did you live in the apartment?
Till January.
Were you working?
I was working from October to January, yes.
How much were you earning?
Not a lot. I was very part-time.
Okay,
Daniel
you were
was
very
working
part-time.
full.
So who was paying the rent?
Daniel and my parents.
Well, your parents paid 1 month. That's what you told me about 5 minutes ago.
Correct.
The rest of the 5 months, Daniel paid, right?
Correct. Correct. However, the security deposit paid for July and August. So Daniel paid September, October, and $100 of December.
How could, just a second, how could your security deposit pay for the first 2 months?
Because of Daniel's credit, we had to pay a double security deposit.
Fine. And how many months did you live there? 2.
Correct.
Good.
Daniel Seabolt says ex-girlfriend Amanda Deaton lied to him, claiming he was the father of her baby. He is suing for unpaid rent and the return of his PlayStation and computer.
Okay, Miss Deaton, you lived there for a couple of months after he moved out. You had a choice. You could have moved back to your parents. You're a teenager with a baby. You chose to stay there. You ate up your security deposit. You don't get it back. You do get back your PlayStation, your computer. 5 days, 9 a.m. Be there or be square. Thank you.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
24-year-old Cherie Peterson is suing her former friend, Kevin Outlaw, for a loan to buy a 1999 Lexus. Kevin says Cherie took the car back.
Miss Peterson, you worked with the defendant in the same place?
Yes.
Where was that?
UC Davis Medical Center.
What did you do there?
I do clerical work mostly. We actually still work together, but at the time that everything started, we worked more closely together in the file room, and now I'm doing more of new patient appointments.
Oh, God, that was a long answer. Mr. Outlaw, according to what I read in Miss Peterson's complaint, she was a very good friend to you. You needed a car. You had miserable credit, so you couldn't get a car loan on your own. And you asked her if she would co-sign a car loan for you with the understanding that in 6 months' time, you would be working on your credit to get it back up to snuff, and you would refinance the car, getting her name off the loan. That was your agreement. Is that right?
Yes.
In exchange for that, you were going to do what?
Well, I gave her $200 to do
For
that.
her trouble.
Yes.
And she accepted the $200, and you went down to the car dealership where you had already picked out the car?
Yes, ma'am.
When you got there, according to Miss Peterson, they said, well, she can't just be a co-signer on this loan because it would be much better and your payments would be much less if the title to the car was in her name and all the payments in her name because your credit was really bad, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So Miss Peterson said, okay, you know, it's just going to be for 6 months, right?
Right.
So she allowed her name to be put down on the car, title in her name, and then 6 months go by and you don't get the car out of her name and the loan, right?
Yes.
Why not?
Well, at the time, Your Honor, unfortunately, a couple weeks after I got the car, I went out on medical leave. I had a torn knee tendon in my knee, so I was off for a month. And when I came back, at the time I was working 2 jobs. I was a bartender also, part-time. So I lost my job when I came back. They said I was, overworked, I guess. Also, the car had to be put into the shop a few times. I had to get some repairs done on the car.
None of this is Miss Peterson's fault.
That's right.
This is all your bad luck.
Yes.
Keep going.
Okay, so the second income is gone, so I've had to get the repairs done on the car, which really cost me a lot. So I wasn't able to work on my credit like I was supposed to.
And you had creditors because why, sir? Because you didn't pay your bills?
Bad decisions, yes.
Bad decisions isn't the reason for bad credit. You didn't pay your bills.
Okay.
And how many people did you stiff? How many credit card companies did you stiff?
Credit cards are probably 2.
In what amount, sir?
I think one was 600 and something, and I can't really remember the other one.
Anybody else?
Maybe some phone bills, cable bills.
Phone, cable, credit cards. Also, not Miss Peterson's fault, is that correct?
Correct.
So this is what happened. After the 6 months, Miss Peterson said, I want my name off of this loan. This was our agreement. And she said, if you don't get my name off of this loan, I'm taking the car back, right?
Correct.
And you didn't get a loan, and she took the car back, right?
Correct.
And she sold it, correct?
Correct.
And there was a shortfall on the loan.
Correct.
Which you want him to pay.
Correct.
I'll hear you.
Well, I don't understand how I owe, Your Honor. I mean, I held up my end of the bargain as far as the 6 months.
No, you didn't.
I didn't?
No, you didn't.
Hmm.
Your contract with her, 6 months' time, you would get this loan out of her name.
We don't have a written contract.
You
Your
don't
Honor.
have to have a written contract. You've just testified, sir, that that was your contract with her. In exchange for $200 for 6 months, she would allow her name to be used on this loan, and you agreed contractually with her that within 6 months' time, that loan would be out of her name. You failed to fulfill your obligation. Your obligation was to make the payments and get her name off that car loan so that she didn't have to hook her star to your galaxy because you are an accident looking to happen. How much was the shortfall on the car?
I had to come up with about $5,500.
Show me.
Here's the bill of sale and also what I had to come up with. The receipt shows $5,517, I think, and the other is the bill of sale, which the person bought the car for $14,000, and I owed $19,500.
Miss Peterson, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Did you graduate from college?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You didn't take a course in practical skills.
I didn't take logic, no.
Never do this again.
I won't. I've learned a big
For
lesson.
the boyfriend, for the husband, for your cousin. Nobody.
I've learned.
Have you?
Yes. About $5,000 worth of learning.
That's a lot of saving.
Yeah.
Judge it for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. You owe her the money.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
19-year-old Megan Fay is suing her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old waiter Kevin Malaber, for loans to pay rent and to buy a new cell phone. Kevin claims Megan is upset that he's moved on.
Miss Fay, it is your claim that you made 2 small loans to the defendant while you were dating.
Yes.
Mr. Malaber says that he doesn't recall you making any loans to him, that he doesn't need your money. He has no knowledge of any loans or financial gifts that you made to him. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. You both go to school?
Yes.
When did you make the first loan?
It was August 7th.
2006?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
He said that his dad couldn't pay for his rent because his dad was getting a new job. So he wanted me to lend him the money until his dad could pay me with the new job, and that was $420.
What was the money for?
The rent money.
Where did you get the money from?
My savings account.
You have proof of that for me?
Yeah, I have the statements right here.
Can I see it, please?
I had to take 2 out. Okay.
You had to take 2 out because?
I was doing the ATM, so I didn't think I would be able to take $420 out at once, so I split it up.
Okay. Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
I work at JCPenney's.
Full-time?
Part-time. I work between 15 and 30 hours while going to school.
Work full-time in a restaurant as a server.
What was the next loan that you made to him?
I've been bugging him about a cell phone, so he told me that he wanted to get one, so his dad said he couldn't do it, so I went with him to open it, and...
What do you mean you were bugging him about a cell phone?
He didn't have a cell phone, so I'd have to call his friends. And he said that he would get one and his dad would pay for it, but his dad couldn't do it at that time, so I went with him and opened one for him.
Well, he was working. Why didn't he buy it?
He just started, and I made him get that job. He didn't want to work.
And how much was the cell phone?
It was $200.
Okay, and you don't remember any of this, sir?
No, my father would pay cash for my rent. My parents are divorced, and they both would pay half of the rent.
So you have no information whatsoever about this $420 amount of money?
No. And what was the date she said she took that money out?
August 7th.
Our rent was due the 20th of every month.
Yes.
So I don't know why there would be the 7th of the month that she would be taking out money for my rent.
I don't know. That's
He
what she
was
says.
going to visit his friend where he was living, and he needed it that day because he wouldn't get to it before the due date. That's what he told me. I was all just going on what he was telling me, and I didn't want him to lose his apartment, so I gave him the money.
Okay. Now, Miss Fay, you claim that after he refused to pay you back because you had some disagreement about his going out with somebody else, you contacted his father.
Yes.
And how did you contact him?
I had a cell phone because Kevin would use my phone to call his father and his mother. So I called his dad hoping he would be able to help me out.
And did you speak with him?
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
He said that he couldn't help me, that he talked to Kevin, and Kevin wanted to do this on his own because he was 20, and that if nothing happens, he told me that I should do small claims court.
That's what his father told you?
Yes. Because
What's
he
your
didn't want
father's
to help me
telephone
out.
number, sir?
5763.
Is that his work number?
No, that's his cell phone.
Good. Did you ever meet him, by the way?
Yes. I would go to his house with Kevin. I would have to drive him because
Good.
he didn't have a car.
I'm going to give your dad a call.
Okay.
How's that?
That's fine.
Great. This is Judge Judy Sheindlin. How are you? Mr. I have a couple of questions for you. Do you have a moment for me, sir? Great, great. Do you remember sometime several months ago receiving a phone call from Miss Fay, your son's former girlfriend, Megan Fay? She discussed with you some money that she said your son had borrowed from her? Did she tell you how much he had borrowed? Did you agree to pay her that money? And did you speak to Kevin about it? And what happened? Okay. Did you tell Miss Fay that if he owed her money, that she should sue him? I absolutely agree with you, sir. You've met this young lady before, is that right? Ever had any difficulty with her before? Seemed like a nice young lady? Very good. Thanks very much. I appreciate your assistance. Bye-bye now.
He said.
There are always ways to figure out who's telling the truth, Mr. Malabar. If I can't get it from one source, I get it from another. Don't you feel foolish? 10 million people are going to know you're a liar.
I'm not lying here.
Yes, you are.
What did he say?
That's for me to know and for you to think about. But there's no question in my mind you're a liar. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $620. That's all. Thank you.
26-year-old Christopher Boland is suing fellow partygoer, 18-year-old Michael Juarez, for denting his car during a fight. Michael claims the damage is not his fault.
Mr. Boland, it is your claim that Mr. Juarez, during an argument at a party, threw someone into your car and damaged it. And Mr. Juarez says he didn't do that.
Yes.
When was the party?
May 29th.
Questions are going to get harder, Mr. Boland.
No, I'm sorry.
Who, what, when, where, and how? Those are the questions you should always come prepared to answer.
All right.
All right? Yeah. What date was the party?
May 29th of 07.
Who was there?
There was a lot of people there.
In whose house was the party being held?
It was at a friend's house down the way from my house. I don't even know the person, actually.
Who knows the person?
I know his name is Ryan.
Who did you have a fight with?
I had a fight with him right there. I don't know his name.
With you? With Richard?
Yes.
What'd you have a fight with Richard about?
It was because at the end of the party, my phone was missing, and I was trying to look for it.
And I went around asking everybody, and when I went to go ask him, we had a confrontation, and then we started fighting. It was a quick, like, 2-minute fight, didn't last so long.
Why did you fight with him?
Because we started arguing, because I wanted to see if he had my phone. And we started arguing, and...
No, explain that to me. Mr. Juarez, your phone was missing. You asked to see his phone. What did he say?
He said no.
Yeah?
No, that's not right.
Shh, just a second.
He
So?
said no for a minute, and then he finally showed it, and it was dark. It looked like my phone. I wanted to see it. He wouldn't let me see it. And he said, and we started getting into it.
What do you mean you started to get into it? You started to get into it.
Yeah.
You accused him of stealing your phone.
Yeah, because I was missing my phone.
I'm speaking.
I'm sorry.
Did it turn out that he stole your phone?
No.
Where was your phone?
In the car.
So you made a mistake?
Yes, I did.
So you had this fight over something stupid where you made a mistake. And you started to act physical with somebody who says, don't accuse me of being a thief. Isn't that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, tell me about throwing somebody into a car.
I pushed him.
And he fell into a car.
Yes.
So whose fault is that? Mine?
No.
Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it?
I just pushed him. I didn't mean to him go in the car.
Is there something wrong with you? Who is this person here?
That's my mom and my aunt.
You don't want to embarrass yourself any further in front of your mother.
No.
Whose fault is it if you pushed him and he fell into his car?
I pushed him. I didn't mean for him to fall in the car.
Your Honor, he didn't actually...
Jump! Do I look as if I need any of your help?
No, I'm sorry.
You want to have a talk with him. Is your last name Juarez?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds or less to talk to your son. Right up there.
It's your
Now your mother's going to sit down.
Yes.
Whose fault is it, do you think, that his car got damaged?
I pushed the man, but I don't think it's my fault because how big I am and how big he is, it'll take a lot of force for him to make a dent in the car. And if it made a dent, it would have gave injury to the man. And I'll be right here getting sued by him. That's why I feel it's not
Whatever
my
it was,
fault.
it didn't work, Mrs. Juarez. Could I please see the pictures of your car?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
18.
What do you do?
I'm a student, AVC.
Stay there. Perhaps forever. Go for continuing education. You have an estimate?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the estimate?
From Scooty's Auto Collision.
What is the
Oh,
estimate?
for
Not
$995.
from whom? Who, what, when?
Sorry,
when?
$995.
Mr. Juarez, you did the wrong thing. You made a mistake. You accused somebody of being a thief. When they chose not to play along with you, you started an argument. Your argument resulted in this young man's car being damaged by you. Because when you pushed him, the natural consequence of your pushing him was him falling into the car. Now, you didn't intend to damage the car. You intended to damage him. Unfortunately, the car got damaged. You're just lucky he didn't get damaged as well, because then I would have wiped up the floor with you. And so would the police department. If you happen to be built like you are, you have to use your strength and your girth wisely, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Not like an idiot.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $995. That's all.
23-year-old Crystal Howell is suing her neighbor, Rory Bays, for money owed on a 1989 Mitsubishi Montero she sold him. Rory claims it was never a legal sale.
Miss Howell, you sold the defendant a used car.
Correct.
For $1,900.
That is correct.
He paid you, according to you, $900, and the understanding was he was going to make payments for the rest, the other $1,000. Within a relatively short period of time, the engine blew up in this car. What year car was it?
It was an 89. However, I would like to point out that at the time he bought the vehicle, he was aware of...
Just don't tell me what he was aware of.
Okay.
You can't tell me what he was aware of.
Can I tell
Unless
you what I told him?
No.
Okay.
What you can do is you can show me a bill of sale.
Yes. What would that
Bill
be
of
the
sale.
title? Or I have a
contract, a bill of sale.
written agreement. There you go.
So this is a 1989 car, which is now 18 years old. And you sold it to him for $1,900. And he says Arbitration is responsible for the purchase of this 1989 Mitsubishi, payments, what the delivery payment was, and how they were supposed to be made, the rest of the payments, when they were supposed to be made. Nothing about the condition of the car, nothing. That's all it says. So you can't tell me what you told him, you can't tell me what he knew, you can't tell me anything else, because anything else should have been in this contract. Do you understand? Law does not permit you to go outside the four corners of this contract. So you were selling him this car. It blew up after him. No, not as is. You did not say that here. Do you understand that? Good. So the car blew up, but that still doesn't relieve you, sir, of the obligation of paying for the car. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Except you say that she didn't have clear title to sell you the car.
No, ma'am, she didn't.
That when the car blew up, you went to try to take it to a salvage for the purpose of, put your hand down, for the purpose of getting some money, so you were going to pay for it.
Correct.
And you didn't have clear title to the car.
Correct.
May I interject?
Yes.
The person that I purchased it for never took his name off the title, which I was unaware of because the automobile
then
that
he's
I bought.
absolutely right. You did not give him clear title.
But
listen to me.
Automobile dealership that I purchased it from is responsible for transferring the title.
Listen to me. What he's saying is, and he's absolutely right,
I have a copy of the lien right here, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. You did not have clear title to sell him this car.
However, I will say that when I purchased the vehicle, I'd owned that car for 6 years. I purchased this off 3 years before selling it to Rory.
Hugh is the lien holder.
He was the gentleman that I purchased the car from.
Miss Howell,
I owe him no money.
What I'm telling you is you did not give him clear title to this car.
I was unaware of that.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $2,900 to $3,500. I'm not positive of the amount.
Let's say you paid $2,900 for it. You sold it to him for $1,900. You got $900 from him, which means you had the car for 6 years or so, and it cost you $2,000. Do you understand what I'm saying? I feel badly at all dismissing your claim.
But
not at all. Because this agreement that you just gave me is void because you had no right to sell him the car. And I don't care what you put in it in order to maintain it.
He had a brand new motor. May I please call my father as a witness?
Miss Howell.
Yes.
Is he going to tell me that there wasn't a lien on the car?
No.
Then I'm not interested in what he has to say. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed.
Allison Gardner claims former friend Andrew Beard repossessed a truck he sold her. She is suing for the return of payments made and for the cost of a dirt bike he sold without her permission.
Miss Gardner, it is my understanding, and this is some sort of convoluted arrangement for the purchase of a truck. You purchased a truck from Mr. Beard. You claim that he took the truck back. You want all the payments that you made to him on the truck. You say he took a dirt bike that belonged to, I think, your son.
Correct.
And he sold it. You want the money for the dirt bike. Mr. Beard has a whole different scenario about what happened with this truck and dirt bike. So let me make it simple for myself. You knew each other? You were friends?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's all I have to know. I don't need to go into the social history. I'm really not interested. You had a truck.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the year and make of the truck?
It was a 1992 Ford F-150 stick shift single cab pickup truck.
Okay. And you were in need of a vehicle. So you agreed to purchase the truck from Mr. Beard. When?
We made an agreement, I think it was around September or August.
What was the date?
It was August 12th. It was the same day I bought my new green truck.
Does that sound right?
That's not correct. It was before he bought his truck.
It was before you bought his truck?
Yeah, we were actually at
Just a second.
gathering.
How much before he bought the truck?
I think it's about a week or two.
Fine. And you gave him how much down?
It was $500.
So far, we agree on that?
No, ma'am.
How much did she give
She
you?
actually gave me nothing when I gave her the truck originally.
No, I have a copy of it. I have 2 counts of
But she
checks
did,
here.
in fact, give you money.
She did, yes.
How much did she give you at first?
At first, $500 check.
And when was that?
I received both checks of $500 increments by November 16th.
And did she have the truck prior to that?
Yes, ma'am.
When did she take possession of the truck?
Actually, a couple days after my original date, August 12th, that I gave her the truck.
So, according to her, it was the beginning of August. So you got possession. Listen to me, Miss Gardner. You got possession of the truck the beginning of August.
I have a check dated 8/14 of '06 for $500.
Fine. He says that you got possession of the truck before you gave him the check.
I'm not sure of the exact date, but that's probably close.
Fine. So let's say August 1st, you got possession of the truck. August 14th, you gave him $1,000.
I gave him $500 on 8/14 of '06 and another $500 on 10/13/06.
When were you supposed to give him the money?
We did not have a specific agreement. He said that I could pay him on it as I was able to.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, that is.
Okay. So he was a nice guy. August, you gave him a check for $500. October, you gave him another check for $500, leaving a balance of?
It was about $1,100. I'd also given him $100 cash, $100 cash.
Forget about the cash.
Yeah.
So you
it'd
gave
be
him $1,000, leaving a balance of?
It'd be $1,400.
$1,500. Don't play with me.
Not including the $100 that I gave him.
Not including the $100.
Right.
Right. In cash. You give him checks and then you give him cash?
Yep.
So you owed him $1,500, and you've already had the truck 4 months.
Yep.
Well, when were you supposed to complete the payments on this truck?
We had actually come up with the money, and we called him. My fiance Robin called him and said, "We have the rest of the money for the truck. Would you like us to go ahead and bring it to you?"
When was this?
This was later, after we found out that I'd asked him, I said, "Can I sell the truck to someone else? It's not working out for me." And he said, "Fine, no problem."
Just a second. Starting November, you've made no further payments. When did you call him and tell him you wanted to sell the truck?
It was approximately February 15th is when we called to offer him the rest of the money, so it would have been about 2 weeks before that, so about February 1st.
So if you had the truck August, September, October, November, December, and January, 6 months.
Correct. I was also
Just a second.
making repairs on it.
I don't care whether you were making it. You were using it. Who was supposed to make repairs on it, Bird? You bought a truck that's 15 years old. 15 years old.
Yeah.
And you bought it for $2,500. You've had the truck now 6 months. You've paid less than half on it. And now, according to you, you call him up sometime in February.
Yeah.
And say to him, truck's not working out for me. Is that what you just said? I want to sell it. So, before you can sell something, you have to pay for it.
Well, I asked him, I said, you know, I need to sell the truck. Is it okay if I go ahead and sell it to someone else and I'll give you the money that I owe you? He said, no problem, that's absolutely fire. And he had a friend of his that was also interested in the truck. So he came to my home and picked up the truck to show his friend.
When did he come to your home to... Shh, just a second. Yeah. When did he come to your home to pick up the truck?
It would have been sometime around between February 1st and February 15th, that 2-week period.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
So after that, he picked up the truck, took it to his home, and he said that he had a buyer for it, and no problem, I'll give you the $1,100 that you paid me on it, and no big deal. During that time, he had offered to pick up my son Zachary's dirt bike from the shop that I had taken it to. It was probably going to run me about $600 or $700 to get it fixed, and Andrew was very mechanically inclined and said, hey, let me pick it up, I'll take it to the house, fix it for Zachy, no problem. So that's what happened with the truck. So he fixed it, and I was calling him saying, hey, I need to get the bike back for Zach, and this and that. No return phone calls, text messaging, no return text messages, nothing. So on February 15th, he had possession of the truck. We called him and said, we have the rest of the money. Let's go ahead and we'll give you the money for the truck and just be done with it. You know,
You'll have a chance in a minute. Stop raising your hand. It's annoying and it's distracting. Go ahead.
I said, we'll just give you the rest of the money for the truck. You know, let's just get it done, you know. And then after that, it was February 25th, I called and I talked to him about, or I sent him a text message and phoned him saying, I'm coming by to get Zachary's dirt bike. And at that time, he sent me a text message saying that he sold it, which I don't know how he could sell a dirt bike that he didn't have the title to without it being a legal transaction. So the bike at no point in time was ever collateral for that truck. He was doing me a favor. Actually, he was doing Zachary a favor in fixing the dirt bike. We never had an agreement that it was collateral.
So what do you want?
I want the money that I gave him for the $1,100 for the truck, and I want the money for the dirt bike to replace the dirt bike for my kid.
Well, so that means that you used his truck for 7 months. You used it, you put mileage on it, you did whatever you had to do. You used his truck for nothing?
Well, yeah. I mean, the truck is, it would be nice to get that money back. I want to replace my son's dirt bike.
Just a second. Well, I'm trying to understand, madam. You purchased something, you didn't finish paying for it, you used it for 7, 8 months, and now you want the money back that you gave him, which was less than half of the amount of the truck. I mean, let's break it down.
The reason I'm asking for that is because he said, hey, no problem, when I sell the truck or you sell the truck, when you find a buyer for it, I'll give you the money back. No big deal.
You know, I'm going to listen to him, but you know why I question what you say to me?
Why?
Because you told me that on February 1st, you called him and you said, truck's not working out, right? And you said, I had the money because February 15th, you called and said to him, listen, let me come by and give you the money for the truck.
I actually didn't have the balance of the money until February 15th.
How were you getting the balance of the money?
My fiancé, Robin.
Yes, your fiancé, Robin, was what?
Giving me the money.
Well, why couldn't he give you the money February 1st? Why didn't you say to him, let me come by and pick up the truck, and say to him, no, I'm going to have the balance of the money in 2 weeks, and then I'm going to sell the truck.
Well, I know that Robin had tried to call several times and offer that, and I wasn't present during all of those conversations.
No way. Baloney. Okay. Now, Mr. Beard.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's hear it, sir.
Well, first off,
who's this person?
this is my girlfriend, Danielle.
Okay, because she's been dying to tell me something. I'm going to let her talk in a minute.
She
Go
wasn't
ahead.
even here. She was living with some guy in Reno.
Okay. Well, first off,
Just a second.
way off.
Do not interrupt him. Do you understand? Perfect.
Her dates are actually incorrect on just about everything, unfortunately, except for when I did take the truck back. That was correct. Beginning of February, I actually brought my roommate, Sheindlin, at the time. But regarding the phone call with Robin, I was actually called when I took the truck back, and I believe he actually did ask me to pay $500 right then, which he said he would give me a check.
Why did you go and take the truck back, sir?
Because at that
point... Look at me. Don't look down
there. At that point in time, I'd found out that Rob was driving the truck, who unfortunately had 3 DUIs and should not have been driving.
That's him?
Yes, ma'am.
Put your hand down.
And which I do have a police report for. And on top of that, I hadn't received money. I had been trying to call her and get the money. I was sick. I got injured in a rodeo. Told her many times I needed it.
When for the first time did you ask her for the money? After October?
It was actually after the first payment of $1,000 in, it's actually before December. Between November and December, I'd been asking her multiple times that I needed money.
And what was her excuse for not giving it to you?
Well, the few times that she actually did call me back, it was she just didn't have it. She wasn't working. She was working a different job. Rob was trying to work to get the money, but he had to pay off for classes for his DUIs and just was not able to get the money.
Just a minute. Okay, so you went to pick up the truck because you were repossessing it.
Yes, ma'am.
Title had never passed, I assume.
No, ma'am.
You had ownership of the truck until it was paid off.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me about the dirt bike.
The dirt bike was actually given to me in end of August, and I was supposed to repair it, like she had said. That was correct. And it actually was staying at my house because with her house she was renting, it just was cluttering up her garage, and I was still working on it, which was fine. And by the time the truck transaction was starting to go south, I had informed her I'd feel more comfortable if it stayed at my house until it was sold as collateral, and she did agree upon that, and it was considered just to stay at my house, and I was going to fix it and had every intention on giving it back if my truck was either fully paid off or given back to me in the condition I had given it to them.
Okay, so you took the truck back.
Yes, ma'am.
First thing, let me tell you, Mr. Beard, she's not getting the money back for the truck. She used your truck. She did not fulfill your contract. She is not entitled to any money back. It's not as if she took it and had it for one day. She took it and used it, and he drove it. No question in my mind, he drove it. My concern is with this bike. So now you have the truck. Did you sell the truck?
No, ma'am, I traded it.
You traded it for what?
It was hard selling it because when I had taken the truck back, it was at my house. I was in the process of repairing it, which it extensively needed. And they had came to my house when I was in Chico on business, called me, quickly left a message saying, I'm picking up the truck. I'm leaving my car for you. Before I even, that's not acceptable. I'm working on this truck.
What do you mean they're leaving that car for you?
They just said they would leave her car with the keys. I had no idea. By the time I got back home, there was her car with keys under the tire and my truck gone.
What kind of car did you leave?
A 99 Infiniti G20.
What did you leave it for?
Andrew had known that I was going to use the truck to move. I was moving out of my house. It was
just a second. So you were using, just a second.
So I picked up the truck and used it to move.
You picked up the truck to use it?
Yes.
When?
I don't know the exact date.
Do you know the date?
I don't. I'm horrible with dates.
Early February.
Early February,
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
It was February, so she left her car and picked up the truck after you had repossessed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. When you say you traded it in, what did you trade it in for?
I traded it for a boat because I felt at that time I can get more money after repairing the boat than I could the truck. Because when I received the truck after she had taken it, after I repossessed it, the tailgate was smashed, my bed liner was scratched, the side of the truck. It was very apparent that they were bitter about me taking the truck and smashed it.
You have pictures of it?
I have pictures of how it looked. Unfortunately, I do not have pictures of how it looked after.
Well, why didn't you take pictures afterwards, sir?
Oh, I traded it as soon as it was messed up.
Well, then that's a problem that you have,
That was
sir.
my problem, yes, ma'am.
It certainly is a problem. Where's the dirt bike?
The dirt bike I sold after that, too.
Well, that was a mistake.
Yes, ma'am.
What year dirt bike was this?
She claimed it was a 2004 and that she had title.
You have the title,
I have the
too?
title right here.
I'd like to see it.
It's an 04 Honda CRF 50.
Let me see. Okay. How much did you sell it for?
$550, which was totally going to cover the mud in my radiator, the damage to my tailgate, the smashed spark plugs, and the condition overall the truck was running.
I don't know what these things cost. I have no idea.
I actually have a Blue Book statement.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I also have an estimate from Roseville Cycle Center that would be the replacement value as well
I'll
as...
use Blue Book.
It shows the retail and MSRP in 2004 of what that bike went for.
Okay. MSRP in 2004 was $1,100. Retail now is $749, and the average trade-in was $562. But if she went to purchase it, at this point she'd have to pay $750. Is that what I'm understanding from this?
Yes, in an excellent condition. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was wrong with it when you gave it to him to fix?
My son had got water in the tailpipe when he was washing it, so it just needed to be cleaned out.
Is that right?
No, ma'am.
I didn't think so. Otherwise, why would he have?
I'm not very good with
Otherwise,
your
why
pipes,
would he
so
have
I
it?
don't know.
Otherwise, why would he have it since August? If all you had to do was just clean out the tailpipe.
It was running before that.
What had to be done with the bike?
The tailpipe did have to be cleaned out, the inside of the motor as well, because unfortunately it had smoke and oil burnout in it and mud, again, in the engine.
Fine. You shouldn't have sold her bike. Shouldn't have sold her bike. I understand your frustration, but you shouldn't have sold her bike. She doesn't get her $1,100 back, and she doesn't get what she's looking for, which was $2,700, because that's ludicrous. She gets $550, which is the trade-in value of the bike, and that's what you got for it.
Okay.
Right?
Yes,
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $550. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may
Oh,
step out.
excuse me. You were dying to say something. Is there anything that you were dying to say?
No, he covered it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Holly McLean says ex-husband Steve Reed owes for his share of their daughter's wedding. Steve says Holly went over budget.
Mr. Reed, how many children do you have, sir?
6.
Who is your oldest child?
Stephanie.
That's this child here?
Yes.
And your youngest?
Brandon.
How old is Brandon?
Brandon is 8.
You and Mrs. McLean were married for how long?
2 years, I believe.
And how many children do you have together?
2.
Your daughter is planning her wedding, and according to her, you and your former husband agreed to split the cost of the wedding. You did a budget. It was going to be $5,000. Mr. Reed, you agreed to pay for half.
Correct.
You did, in fact, pay $2,500.
Yes, ma'am.
But the wedding went over budget, and you want him to pay half of the overage of $800.
Yes.
And Mr. Reed says, you went over budget, girls. That's your problem. I agreed to pay for half the wedding, which was budgeted at $5,000, and that's what I'm going to pay.
I agree.
Why did you go over budget?
Well, the reason we had gone...
Don't listen. Did you have a nice wedding?
Yeah. She had a beautiful wedding.
Beautiful wedding, beautiful bride, beautiful husband, nice-looking parents. Don't act... What?
I said yes, thank you.
Do you let him speak at home? Is that the reason he feels compelled to speak here? Because he's not allowed to speak at home?
Don't speak, honey.
She's cute. Okay, now getting back to you. Why did you go over budget?
Well, the reason we had gone over budget was we had it at the reception at a place that cost a lot more money than we had anticipated.
Now, when you realized that this was going to cost more than you anticipated, because you could have found a site that would have cost within the budget, but that's not what you really wanted, right? You wanted a different place. What did you do when you realized you were going over budget?
Well, Stephanie and I did a lot of emails back and forth because she actually lives in Utah. And I was planning the wedding here. And so I had told her that it looked like we were probably going to go over the cost of the wedding. And so she was kind of my in-between person between her dad and I, and had emailed to him and his current wife that we were going to be probably going over the budget.
Do you have an email from him indicating that's fine, I will pay half of whatever the overage is?
I do.
Let me see it.
This was actually an email to Stephanie.
That's fine. Well, this is not from Mr. Reed. This is from Mr. Reed's wife.
Right.
Do you know that your wife sent an email, sir, that said, listen, that's to Steph, and said, your dad and I don't have a problem if you go over the $5,000 sum, as long as your mom is willing to split the cost. Do you know that your wife said that?
At the time that email was written, no, I wasn't aware that she said that.
When did you become aware of this?
I became aware about 1 to 2 weeks before the wedding as we discussed the overage.
So your wife was speaking allegedly for you, which she can't do, but they acted upon this and then went over their budget. Do you understand?
Yes.
So it was really in good faith that your daughter went over the budget because she felt as if she was dealing with your wife, and your wife had the authority to say, okay, as long as mom splits the cost and as long as it not go. So when you found out, Mr. Reed, about this email, what did you do?
Well, by the time I found out about the comment that my wife made, things had already become contentious because all along I had made it clear to Holly that I agreed to a certain amount. Not only that, in the beginning, Holly wanted to spend far less. I actually felt that we should spend more, and it was my suggestion to pay the $5,000. Then come
Is
back.
that true?
That's true.
That's a good guy.
So to then come back to me and then say that She wanted me to pay more money. And not only that, in the beginning, when she wanted me to pay the overage, she wanted me to pay the entire overage, which she estimated would be $300 to $400. And like I say, it became contentious, and so I said, we're going to have to settle the matter after the wedding. I don't want it to affect the wedding.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Reed. So?
So?
Well, he did not agree to pay half of the overage.
I know he did not agree to pay half. But when I had sent them an email stating why we had gone over, and he even told me on the wedding day that he would help me pay the overage of the wedding.
Did you tell her that, Mr. Reed?
What I said is that I would look at the expenses and analyze them and get back to her.
And did you look at the expenses?
I did.
Anything there look untoward to you?
The invitations cost $280 more than we had originally was discussed with my wife, Suzanne. There was a DJ that I knew nothing about, and he cost $450.
Well, DJ is great at a wedding. Did everybody have a good time?
I think so.
Did you dance?
A little bit.
I didn't say if you danced well, Mr. Reed.
Yes.
I said, did you dance?
I did.
Other than the DJ for $450, was it originally anticipated that there was any music?
There was going to be pre-recorded music. Okay.
I have very little sympathy because if what we're talking about here is $800, I would have paid the $2 so we wouldn't end up here. So there wouldn't be any bad feeling. You probably already paid so much to raise your daughter to this point, right? Probably cost you a couple of bucks over the course of, how old are you?
19.
19 years? So I don't know whether I would make a big to-do. But let's see. All right, the DJ, what else?
Let's see. There was a video that was done that was presented at the wedding. It was a nice video. It was $210.
A video of what?
They interviewed Stephanie and Tim about the way they met and things like that. And it was shown at the wedding. Yes, it was nicely done. But once again, I knew nothing about it. The bridesmaids' outfits, traditionally the bridesmaids pay for those.
That's absolutely right. Why didn't the bridesmaids pay for their own outfits?
Well, Stephanie and I discussed that we would just take care of that.
Well, I don't know. You can't do that and obligate him. Ms. McLean. First of all, it's not traditional.
Right.
And second of all, you can't be magnanimous with his money. What else?
The last one is traditionally a portion of the flowers are paid for by the groom or the groom's family. So the portion of those flowers, I have it listed at $248.
Can I say something about the flowers? I didn't feel we should ask Tim's family to pay for the flowers. They were actually having a reception in Arizona a week later, and they were paying for everything there for that reception. And they also paid for the luncheon, so I didn't feel it was right to ask them to also pay for the flowers.
Well, very nice. What do you want from him? He doesn't want to be used as a cash register.
Oh, I understand.
Which is, we'll make the arrangements, and you'll pay your half. And we don't have to consult with you. We're going to tell you this is what we want to do, and if it goes over, it goes over. Well, that's unreasonable.
Well, there's more to it than that.
You may explain it to me. But did you call him and tell him about the DJ before you hired the DJ?
No.
Did you call him and tell him that you were going to pay for the bridesmaids' dresses before you agreed to pay for them?
No.
Did you call him and tell him you decided not to ask the bridegroom's family for the flowers?
Yes, we did tell them that.
When?
Before the wedding, when he had stated that they thought that the groom's family had to pay for part of the flowers.
And what did you say? You told him no.
I didn't agree with that.
Fine. That doesn't mean he's not entitled to say, that's fine. You want to pay for that? Pay for it.
Okay, but there's more to it where we had the reception. We actually wanted to have it at my parents' house so we could cut the costs. Well, Steve didn't want to have it there.
I don't blame him.
It would have been, the cost would have been a lot less.
Miss McLean, what you just said to me has absolutely nothing to do with what I've told you, which is you cannot use your former husband as a cash register. He's a person with opinions, and as long as you want to spend money and you want him to reimburse you for the money, he has the right to an opinion. You may not agree with that opinion, and if you don't agree with it and you want to spend the money, you spend it. What he's complaining about is you didn't discuss it with him, and that was wrong. I just want you to understand that I don't think your father was wrong. I think your mother was well-intentioned, but I don't think your father was wrong. And I've been involved with lots of weddings And I wouldn't think of saying to my ex-husband, you're going to pay for half, and I'm going to decide where it's going to be, what kind of music we have, what flowers we have, what the invitations look like, and I'll send you the bill for half. Right?
But we did...
Flattened out on the floor. And I wouldn't blame him. So, in case there's any bad feeling, I don't think your father was wrong. And Miss McLean, if you wanted to do these things and you chose not to get an agreement with him before, you pay for it yourself. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Dora Huff claims a strange son-in-law, Paul Veloff, owes for bail money she posted on his behalf.
Miss Huff, the defendant is your soon-to-be ex-son-in-law. I assume this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that he owes you money for bail.
Yes, ma'am.
And that he agreed to pay you back once you had bailed him out, and he has declined to do so. Mr. Veloff says you made no agreement with him with regard to the bail money. You made an agreement with his wife. So if you want the bail money paid, get it from your daughter. That's your defense.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Veloff, how long have you been married?
13 years, 14 years.
13 or 14 years.
13.
You have children?
Yes, 2.
How many?
2.
When were you arrested, sir?
It was filed on July 4th, but I actually turned myself in on that Sunday, which would have been, I think, the 6th, 7th? Of July, I'm sorry.
7/7 of 06?
Yes.
Is this the first time you had been arrested, sir?
Yes.
And this was for domestic violence?
Yes.
And the domestic violence alleged that you either assaulted or threatened or harassed your wife?
Right.
Were you in or out of the house on the 7th of July?
In the house.
Yeah. Okay. Mrs. Veloff, when did you complain about your husband's conduct to the police?
The incident of 4th of July.
Tell me about the incident.
We have been having marital problems for quite a while, and a recurring situation came up again that he was not working and taking care of his responsibilities. It escalated into a yelling argument that turned physical. Shortly after, well, the argument went on for quite a while. He was restraining me. I was not allowed. I was undressed coming out of the shower. He wouldn't allow me to get dressed. He wouldn't allow me to leave the master bedroom. Finally, when I did get out of the bedroom, I made it down to the lowest floor of the house, got a phone, and dialed 911. While I was on the phone with the dispatcher, he left the property. While he was gone, they dispatched 2 sheriff's vehicles to the house. They took my statement, took photos.
A copy of the statement, please. Do you have a copy of that police report?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay. They took photographs of what?
They took photographs of the marks on my body and the damage to the home.
What kind of marks did you have on your body?
My arms were bruised where he had grabbed me and forcibly threw me on the bed. My neck was irritated and red.
Your Honor, I do have a copy of the...
I'd like to see them. Where were your children when all this was going on?
There was a 4th of July community picnic that my daughter was at, and my son was outside playing basketball with a friend of his. I believe, well, he was in the driveway. I think they were playing basketball.
How old are your children?
14 and 12.
What's the status of this protective order?
The restraining order?
Yeah, what's the status of the case?
The case was dismissed.
When was the case dismissed?
It went to trial while my mother and I were in Italy for 2 weeks. It was dismissed because I did not show to testify.
Why didn't you appear to testify?
I was in Italy.
Why did you go to Italy during the trial?
It was already pre-planned, the trip. All of the subpoenas for me to appear were in my mail when I got back.
Your Honor, this was a 2-week Mediterranean cruise. We had planned 7 months prior to take all the kids and grandkids, everybody.
Got it. But, Ms. Veloff, after he was arrested, because he turned himself in, according to your mother's complaint, he called you and asked you to bail him out, right?
Yes.
How much was your bail?
$2,000.
And why did you think your wife would bail you out when she was the one who filed the complaint?
Well, I called her because it started getting really rough in the jail, and I've never experienced anything like that. And I called her.
How rough was it?
They found knives, shanks.
So you wanted out of there?
Yeah, and it was Wednesday night. The other inmates were starting to get their commissary or whatever they buy for the week, and a lot of it was like cold medicine, and they were chopping it up and snorting it, and I could see attitudes change, and it started getting really scary.
So you were frightened?
Yes.
So you called your wife?
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to her?
I asked her to call my dad to see if he would bail me out.
Why didn't you call your dad?
Why didn't I call my dad?
That's exactly what I said. Why didn't you call your dad? Why are you calling the alleged victim instead of calling your father directly? Don't you speak to him?
Yes, I do.
So then why didn't you call your father yourself?
The phone calls I was able to make were very limited.
Well, I understand they're very limited. I've been in the justice system a very long time. There's no reason that you're going to be able to give me that I'm going to be satisfied with, sir, as to why you didn't call your father yourself.
I don't know.
Ma'am.
Maybe your wife is going to tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you call his father?
First of all, he called the house and spoke to our son, who then called me. So by the time I got the phone call, our son was frantic with worry, thinking that his father was in mortal jeopardy.
Okay.
And then I did go and call his father, and his father said no.
That's why you didn't call him.
No, that's not true.
Otherwise, sir, you know, if something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. How old is your son?
14.
Before I would involve my 14-year-old son in the fact that I was incarcerated and I was frightened for my life, I would call my father. If I had a decent relationship with my father and if I felt that my father would want to protect me, I certainly wouldn't involve my teenage child. That's not being a protective parent.
I did not know he was going to answer the phone.
What kind of proceeded to... Just a second. What kind of dumb answer is that?
I mean,
What kind of a dumb answer? So because he answered the phone, you unloaded on him?
I didn't unload.
Well, of course you did. Okay. So now you're between a rock and a hard place. You got your 14-year-old child saying you got to do something to get dad out of jail. You got his father who says, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not putting up any money for him. You don't have any money, so you call your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you say, you got to help me out here. You got to help me out. And she goes down and she puts up the bond. That's so far what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you got out of jail, Mr. Veloff, who was there?
Who was there? My kids, my wife, and my mother-in-law.
And what did you say to your mother-in-law?
Thank you.
What else did you say to her? What else did he say?
And he hugged me, and he thanked me, and I told him two things. One, he had to get his act together, and two, because he didn't have a job, he had to pay me back, and he owned 2 cars, which he'd already told Tracy he would do. I expected him to sell one of the 2 cars.
To pay you back?
To pay me back
Just
for my
a sec,
credit card. I'm sorry.
And did he pay you back?
No, ma'am.
Why should your mother-in-law pay your bail?
I didn't ask her to.
No, you didn't ask her to. That's absolutely right, Mr. Veloff. You did not ask her to. But you promised to pay her back. But you promised to pay her back. You didn't ask her to, and absolutely, if you hadn't said to her, I'm going to pay you back, that unfortunately for Miss Huff, there would have been no recourse. The truth of the matter is, at the time that she put up the bail for her daughter and her grandchildren. Because as far as she was concerned, you could have rotted in hell. I'm sure. I'm sure. If she didn't have grandchildren, that's probably what she would have said to her daughter. Let him stay there. But she has grandchildren, and you can't do that when you have teenage grandchildren. You can't say, listen, you're going to let your father rot in jail, so he's going to call here and he's going to complain that somebody's going to shank him. Mr. Veloff, as you see, sir, I have zero sympathy for your position morally, and I have zero sympathy for your position legally. If you had not told your mother-in-law that you would pay her back.
I promised to get my act together and get a job.
Just a second. Just a second. Did you get your act together?
Yes.
Did you get a job?
Yes.
Good. Now you have money to pay her back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,020. That's all. Step out.
Intuitive counselor Rosemary Guerra is suing her colleague, psychic Elizabeth Wines, for the return of money she paid for business leads.
Ms. Guerra, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for some sort of an investment that you made with her towards some future business. Each of you at least makes a living or an avocation of being a psychic.
Right.
And according to you, you gave Ms. Wines some money. What did you give her money for?
I gave her $1,500 in reference to some promises she had made in order for us to work events like fashion shows, concerts, special events.
What was she supposed to do for the $1,500?
She was supposed to introduce me to her friend Stacy. That's supposed to put us into events in order for us to work as intuitive readers or psychics. And she had promised me a lot of different events and different parties, 38 events for this year, and that never materialized.
Ms. Wines, what was the $1,500 for?
Leads.
Leads?
Leads. For events.
And when did she give you the $1,500?
In February.
How long had you known Miss Guerra?
Well over 3 years.
And you told her that this $1,500 was to secure leads for her?
Correct. To take place in June.
How many leads did you give her?
We never got that far.
Just
oh.
Just a minute. This is what we have. We have $1,500 given to you to provide her with leads for events. How many leads did you give her?
She would not talk to me to pick out the events.
Okay, so the answer is you gave her no leads.
Absolutely none.
Then you have to give her her money back. Your contract is she gave you the money to give her leads. You didn't give her any leads. She gets her money back.
She needed to pick the events. Not all the events are appropriate for psychic.
Show me any correspondence that you have between February and June asking her to pick out the events for the $1,500.
When I contacted her in April, or we mean when the producer contacted her in May, asking her to work the events, and she refused. Is that what you say?
That's hearsay. You have to give her back her money, Miss
Okay.
Wines. You have to stop whining and give her back her money. Do you understand? You didn't provide the service for which the $1,500 was designed. You didn't perform the service. Maybe you'll do it sometime in the future. Maybe you can all sit down and figure that out. But right now, you didn't provide her with what she contracted for. So you have to give her her money back. It's very simple, right? Perfect. Goodbye. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500.
Please excuse me, step out.
Catherine Harrison says ex-boyfriend Claude Johnson owes for a trip to Canada and for an assault.
Miss Harrison, you and Mr. Johnson had a relationship that is now over.
Correct.
According to your complaint, some time ago you took a vacation together. You were supposed to split the cost of the vacation, and he still owes you for some of that bill. In addition, after you separated, there was some altercation involving Mr. Johnson, and you claim he assaulted you. You want to be compensated for your pain and suffering as a result of the assault. Mr. Johnson says what was left over from the vacation was a gift, because you said that you would take care of the extra expenses, and that he never assaulted you. As a matter of fact, it was quite the other way around. So, when did this love affair start, and when did it terminate?
We had met in February of '04 while working together, and we had broken up this March.
And when was the vacation that you took?
In February of '05.
Where were you going?
I had purchased Lakers Piston tickets for him for Christmas. So we had went to Detroit, we had watched the game, and we had agreed before we left, everything would be 50-50.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes, we were. So we had went to Detroit, and then we had went to Canada for a few days after that.
Well, is it the Detroit trip or the Canada trip that he owes you for?
It's a combination of all of it. There's actually, the total trip balance was $1,468. Therefore, his half of that would have been $734, which he's paid $354.50 and owes $379.50 as the remainder.
So let's take care of that first. Yes?
She's not telling the truth. I was told that, we would go to the game. She said she's going to buy me the tickets. I'm like, okay. She's talking about she wants to go to Canada to go gamble. I'm like, I don't have the money to go gamble in Canada. I really don't want to go. She says, well, we'll put it on my credit card. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. So I'm like, okay, let's go. I agreed to pay her money for the trip to Detroit, at the game and everything. But then,
Well, how much was that part of the trip, Mr. Johnson?
Well, the tickets were free. She bought
No,
them.
no. Listen to me.
Okay.
How much was your half of the trip to Detroit?
I really don't know. I paid for the hotel, drinks, food, stuff like that.
No, just a second.
Okay.
Was that all put on her credit card?
Well, I gave her the cash. I don't know if she paid with her credit card or whatever. That's on her.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I have receipts, credit card statements, bank statements from all of the money that was spent. Definitely.
How much was spent from Detroit? I'm just curious.
From Detroit, we've got a charge of $64.59 in the hotel, and then he had bought some drinks at the game itself. That was
well,
all
that's a
from Detroit.
small amount of money. Is that the only bill from Detroit?
That's the only bill from Detroit.
That's what I'm saying.
But he's paid.
Just a second.
He's paid $354.
Just a second.
Okay.
When I say just a second, that means you have to stop. The only two bills from Detroit were a $65 bill from a hotel and a couple of drinks. Yes. Is that right?
I guess, according to her bank statements. I
then what did you give her $354 for, sir?
I don't recall how much money I gave her. We had other things going. you know, like it gets really complicated.
I'm going to uncomplicate it. You owe $379.50 for the rest of the vacation you took together. You did go, and if you didn't want to go, you should have said, if you want to go to Canada, go alone.
But it was.
Do you both? I'm speaking. Did you go to Canada?
Yeah, it was a gift on her.
I'm speaking. I just answer my question.
Okay.
Don't volunteer anything unless I ask you to volunteer, which will be never. Did you go to Canada?
Yes, I did.
Did you sleep in a hotel?
Yes, I did.
Did you eat food?
Yes.
You owe $379.50.
Oh, man.
Now let's get to the assault. You broke up in March of 2005, and when do you allege this assault took place?
June 13th.
Tell me about it.
I had went over to the apartment which we previously had shared together to talk about some previous matters that were unhandled.
What?
It was money for rent that was due after I'd moved out that he had not paid, and then I in turn had to pay.
Well, what was your agreement as far as moving out and continuing to pay the rent?
The agreement was that he was going to take care of the rent since he did not wish to leave the apartment, which I would have, you know, stayed if he would have left and taken care of everything myself.
Okay.
Anyhow, he had moved in some roommates as well.
So you went over there because you were held responsible for what month's rent?
For the month of June, as well as the first 2 months we had lived there were half price, so they violated the lease, so we had owed that money too. It was $1,300 that I had to pay.
Why did you pay it?
Well, I was buying a house, and I could not have that eviction on my credit if it was not
Were you
paid.
evicted from that apartment?
No.
Did you stay to the end of the lease?
No. The lease still isn't up yet.
All right, so in June you went to see him about some money that you thought he owed you.
Well, I had went over, and he was actually outside already, so he had just come up to the car. So we were talking through the window.
It's not true. She's lying.
Have you ever been in court before,
No,
Mr.
I have
Johnson?
not. No.
Since you have not, I'm going to give you a kindergarten course about court, especially mine. One party testifies, I ask questions. When she's finished testifying, you will be given an opportunity to testify.
Okay.
We don't shout out. This is not a discotheque. This is not a give and take. This is an organized, orderly process. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes.
I don't have to explain this to you again, do I?
No.
Good. Keep going.
Okay, so he was speaking to me through the window of the car, and he was under the assumption that he thought I had taken money from him earlier that morning when I went to get my mail. So he kept bringing that up, you know, well, I don't care about all this money. Where's my $14? So he reaches in the car, takes my purse. I grab a hold of it before he gets it completely across me because I had it right here at my side. So when I wouldn't let go, he starts hitting me in my chest. And so in turn, you know, I let go of the purse. So I got out of the car and, you know, I was asking him, you know, can I have my purse back, you know, whatever. And he's pushing me and shoving me, pushing me, you know, back from him. So, you know, he goes into the house and gets away from the situation. So immediately I had dialed 911 to, you know, reach the police. And they went to the door, you know, and got him outside and talked to him as well. I have the police run log as well.
I want to see a hospital record.
Okay, well, I didn't go to the hospital.
Doctor's report.
I didn't go to the doctor.
Get over it. Whatever pushing and shoving was done over the pocketbook was no big deal. Don't make it into a big deal. Then I begin to doubt your veracity. We understand each other?
Sure.
Good. Did you think that she took money from your house?
I know that she took money from my house.
And how do you know that, Mr. Johnson?
Well, I do have two roommates. My roommates were sleeping. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning when she came in my house. In the meantime, I had money on my table in my room.
$14.
$14, but it was all the money that I had at the time. So, you know, it's like $1 million to me because it's all I had. Anyways, I go downstairs. You know, I talk to her about whatever, you know, the money situation, the rent, da-da-da. Okay, she says to me, she says, how much money do you have? I'm like, well, not enough, you know.
Well, you're living there. Why don't you have money for the rent,
well,
Mr. Johnson?
This is about, I have got money. I had, like I said.
Listen to me, sir. Don't double talk me. It's June. Where's your rent money? You and your two sleeping roommates.
We had the rent money for the month, right? The thing is we were being charged extra money for the rent. Instead of being $600, we were being charged $1,200. In all reality, we were moving. She just didn't know it yet, so I wasn't going to give her anything, you know. Now.
So you're going to stiff her on the landlord?
No. I was going to pay it. It's big. It's hard to explain it. You know, it would take a long time. Anyway, let's get to the point. She goes upstairs. She says, I'm going to go look for some money.
Have you? And so she took you $14. You went upstairs. You didn't see your $14, so you figured it was in her purse. When she came back later, you went into the purse. Fine.
Fine.
Who paid the landlord the $1,200?
She did.
Have you paid her back?
No. No. And as a
Well,
matter of
are
fact...
you on drugs?
Huh?
Are you on drugs?
No.
Then just answer me. I asked you a simple question. I said if you paid her back. The answer is no. One no will be sufficient.
The answer is no. I shouldn't have to pay her back. Yeah.
Well, she didn't file a counterclaim. I'm just curious. Why didn't she ask for that money?
I was told I should handle that in the local Franklin County courts.
That's too bad. In any event, he owes you $379.50 for the vacation, which he agreed to pay for, and he did not completely pay for. I don't believe he assaulted you to any extent that requires compensation by a court. He was angry, but I don't believe he hurt you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $379.50. And Ms. Harrison, let me explain this to you. You should thank your lucky stars that you got out when you did.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, good, thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
27-year-old Lisa Lane is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old Scott Eberspacher, for the cost to fix her bedroom window. Lisa claims Scott was trying to wake her up by throwing rocks.
All right, Lisa, how long were you dating Scott here when he made this nocturnal visit to your house?
About a month and a half.
Who do you live with?
I live with myself and my son.
And Scott was supposed to be over, according to your complaint, at about 10 o'clock that evening. Or he's
Right.
supposed to be over that evening, and he shows up at what time, Scott?
I got there around approximately 2:20 in the morning.
Why?
There was no set time, Your Honor.
How old is her child?
He would be 4.
There was no set time?
He was supposed to be
2:30
there
in the morning is not an appropriate time to go visiting, sir.
It's a booty call, Your Honor.
What?
It's a booty call. She always calls
Don't
later.
be smart.
He was supposed to be
Just
there
a
before
second.
9.
Don't be... Listen, when I speak to you, you'll answer me.
Right.
According to your complaint, he was supposed to be there at 10. He wasn't there at 10. You locked the doors. He came 2 o'clock in the morning, rang the bell, whatever. You didn't answer. So he went to your window and he threw a rock at your window to get your attention. He got your attention. He broke the window. He came in. You spent the night together. Later on, you said, I want him to pay for the window.
I didn't know the window was broken.
All
until the
right.
next
Later
morning.
on, they found the window broken and you want him to pay for the window. That's what the case is.
I have a videotape showing a scenario of how
Yeah, how he did it. You're not dating him anymore?
No.
What does that mean? That was a hesitation.
No, I do not date him anymore. He's too irresponsible.
So you haven't... When was the last time you saw him, Miss Lane? It's not an answer, madam.
I don't remember. It was like a month or so ago.
And when did this incident happen?
It was after the window was broke, because we joked about it, because he didn't really mean to break the window.
When did he break the window?
In April.
Okay. She says you broke the window, sir.
I didn't break the window, Your Honor.
I have the text message where he says he'll pay for it.
Oh. Is that dated?
Yes.
Okay. Show it to Bird, because he is
'Cause
my
I sent-
electronic... I'm speaking. He is my electronic genius.
And so, if you just want to give that to the judge, then.
No, he doesn't give it to me. He's my electronic eyes and ears.
Scott Gold, you want me to find, but I say that this is why you pay association and insurance. I will probably never talk to you again if you want to go that route, so it's up to you.
What's the date of that?
May
Just go to the date.
May 29th.
Very good. And did you fix the window?
Yes, I did. And I have pictures of when it was broken.
I'd like to see the picture.
And I have the actual rocks, too. Here's the receipt, and here's the pictures when it was broken. Do you want the rocks?
You want the rocks?
No. Stick the rocks back where they were. These are the best pictures you could take.
I took a video flicks on my camera phone, and that's the best that we could come up with for a still shot. But I have the videotape right here that
I'm not interested in it.
Okay.
April 27th at 2:20 a.m. is when I went over to Lisa's house. And at that time, when I did, in fact, I tossed a ball, and then I tossed a very tiny pebble the size of a dime. Did not break the window. Matter of fact, the next morning when she had walked out, we walked out together, there was no broken glass or anything to my appearance or her appearance.
That's not English, to my appearance or to her appearance.
Okay. To my knowledge and to her knowledge, there was nothing broken.
Don't tell me about her knowledge. So your knowledge,
To my knowledge, there was
no
nothing
broken
broken.
window. Well,
Correct.
Then your knowledge is limited. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $360. That's all.
Để đi cái chương trình du học về Đức, nhiều phụ huynh thì
cũng như là các bậc nhiều phụ huynh cũng như là các em học sinh thì không hiểu du học người Đức thì phải đi như thế nào. Vậy thì du học người Đức thì chúng ta sẽ đi qua các bước như thế nào ạ? Chúng ta sẽ có hai cái bước cơ bản nhất. Bước đầu tiên đó là cái bước ở Việt Nam, và cái quá trình tiếp theo là cái quá trình ở bên Đức. Thì cái quá trình ở Việt Nam sẽ là tầm khoảng từ 1 năm cho đến 1 năm rưỡi. Đấy, cái quá trình ở bên Đức thì sẽ là từ 3 năm đến 5 năm. Đấy, sẽ có hai cái quá trình như thế. Và bây giờ thì mình chia sẻ về cái quá trình ở Việt Nam. Thì đối với điều kiện để đi du học về Đức đó là bạn phải có bằng B1 tiếng Đức. Vậy cho nên là cái quá trình ở Việt Nam thì bạn sẽ phải học B1 tiếng Đức. Để đạt được cái B1 tiếng Đức thì bạn sẽ học từ A1 cho đến A2 rồi đến B1. Cái quá trình này thì sẽ mất cho bạn khoảng tầm 8 cho đến 10 tháng tùy từng bạn. 8 cho đến 10 tháng tùy từng bạn. Có những bạn thì 8 tháng có thể đạt được rồi, nhưng có những bạn 10 tháng, thậm chí là hơn 10 tháng các bạn mới đạt được cái trình độ B1. Kể từ khi có B1 thì lúc này là bạn sẽ làm hồ sơ để xin hợp đồng với cái trường ở bên Đức. Và khi có hợp đồng thì sẽ tiến hành làm visa, xin visa để ra visa để bay sang Đức. Khi mà chúng ta đã có visa rồi thì chúng ta bước sang cái quá trình thứ hai, đó là quá trình sang Đức để học tập. Cái quá trình ở bên Đức thì sẽ bao gồm 3 năm học nghề. Trong 3 năm học nghề ở Đức thì các bạn sẽ vừa học vừa đi thực tập, tức là các bạn sẽ vừa được học lý thuyết vừa được học thực hành. Cái thời gian học lý thuyết thì nó sẽ chiếm khoảng 30%, còn thời gian học thực hành sẽ là 70% trong cái tổng quỹ thời gian của các bạn. Vậy là trong 3 năm đó thì bạn sẽ học song song giữa lý thuyết và thực hành. Bạn học lý thuyết cái gì thì bạn sẽ thực hành cái đó suốt cái 3 năm học như thế. Sau 3 năm học thì bạn sẽ thi tốt nghiệp, và bạn lấy được cái bằng tốt nghiệp thì ra trường bạn sẽ làm việc cho đất nước Đức từ 2 cho đến 3 năm. Đấy, sẽ phải làm việc cho đất nước Đức từ 2 đến 3 năm bạn nhé. Sau cái thời gian 2 đến 3 năm đó, bạn có thể về Việt Nam hoặc đến một cái đất nước nào đó để làm việc, thì đó là tùy bạn. Vậy thì cái quá trình của cái chương trình du học nghề Đức chúng ta sẽ mất khoảng tầm 7 năm, 6 cho đến 7 năm, đúng không ạ? 1 năm ở Việt Nam, rồi 5 đến 6 năm ở bên Đức nữa. Vậy thì cái quá trình của chúng ta sẽ mất khoảng 7 năm. Tuy nhiên là với 7 năm đó thì chúng ta sẽ mang cho chúng ta được rất là nhiều giá trị. Giá trị đó là được sinh sống, học tập và làm việc ở một đất nước có cái nền kinh tế xã hội phát triển bậc nhất thế giới này. Rồi cơ hội sau khi chương trình học nghề thì chúng ta có mở ra những cái cơ hội tương lai rất là rộng mở cho những bạn nào mong muốn phát triển sự nghiệp, phát triển tương lai của mình ở đất nước, ở phương trời châu Âu. Vậy thì đối với mình vừa mới chia sẻ về cái lộ trình để các bạn có thể đi được cái chương trình du học nghề Đức, đó là nó bao gồm những cái quá trình như vậy. Thì bạn nào mà cảm thấy nó phù hợp với bản thân mình, hoặc là đang muốn tìm hiểu về chương trình du học nghề Đức thì hãy liên hệ thêm với mình nhé.